Welcome, everyone. This is your friend, the DN What If, here with another exciting fanfiction. Today, we're diving into the story of What If Deku Became a Vigilante to Hunt Corrupt Heroes? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fanfiction content just like this. Now, let's get started with the fanfic. The cracking of his mother's jaw is a sound so visceral that he is certain he'd hear its echo even in death. For weeks, it was her screams, the sound of wet gasps, or the jangle of a key. But today it's the sound of her jaw shattering. He pushes both hands against the closet door, eyes darting to the metal keys Mama had dropped just a few inches from the door crack. She always locks him in here, always assumes the folding doors shut properly, always assumes that he can't see through the small sliver in the door. But if Mama has endured the torture, then he has to see it, has to remember it. He decides right then and there, with his small fingers sticking through the gap of the door, eager to grasp those keys. He decides right then and there, as thuds sound against the wall, as his mom tries not to scream or cry so he won't hear her. He decides right then and there, as sirens sound down the road from the neighbors calling the cops yet again. He decides then and there, that from this point forward, nobody is going to hurt Mama again. He never reaches the keys. It takes an hour before the closet doors gingerly squeak open. He counted every second, quietly pushing against the closet door, silently pleading to get out. But it opens then, and his small body tumbles from inside, his fingers rimmed red and useless. He never hits the floor. Despite her injuries, Mama catches him against her chest, tugs him close. He wastes no time at all. "I don't want to be here anymore." Mama tenses, stroking a hand through his dark hair. "Let's go away. Let's go away, Mama." He grips her shirt, eyes wet. "I don't like when he hurts you." Mama is usually quiet, but she talks today in a soft whisper despite her ruined jaw. "Okay, baby. Let's go away." It takes no time to pack their things. They don't have much to begin with. He is tasked with it, stuffing his and Mama's clothes into garbage bags. He ransacks the kitchen for scraps of food, he steals their thick blankets and paper plates. And when he stands in his parents' bedroom, facing the bedside table on his dad's side, he makes sure he is just as quiet as Mama taught him to be when he creaks the drawers open. He takes his dad's watch, his black tie. He takes his glasses, his ring. He takes his wallet, his car keys. He takes every trace of his dad out of this apartment and stuffs it into the garbage bag. One thought later, and he pulls it all out, filling his pockets instead. Only then does he leave the room, guilt eating away at him, but not an ounce of regret. Mama is on the landline, whispering into the plastic. He catches only vague hints at where they're going, small pleas for help. He sits and waits until Mama hangs up, and when she turns to him, it's with a lopsided smile. "What's your favorite color?" she asks him. He thinks for a moment, watching as she walks to the oven, flips the knobs aimlessly until they click over and over again. "Green," he says. Mama smiles. "Midoriya. That means green in Japanese." She reaches into a drawer, pulls out a wad of aluminum foil. She crumples it, tosses it into the microwave. Then she approaches, crouches down in front of him and strokes a hand down his face. "I always loved the name Izuku. Do you like it?" she asks. Her jaw moves all wrong, but she talks anyway. He nods. "Then that's your name." Mama's eyes turn hard, dark. "If anyone ever asks you what your name is, you tell them that. Do you understand me?" "Yes, Mama." "And I'll be," she combs a hand through his hair. "Inko. We'll be the Midoriyas. Do you like that?" Midoriya nods eagerly, and Mama frowns at the curls that bounce wildly. "We need to go before he comes back." Mama stands, grabs a bag, and hoists it over her shoulder. "We're going to stay with an old friend of mine." She ushers him to the front door, telling him to stay in the hall while she runs back for something. Midoriya does, tapping his feet to the sound of his Mama pushing buttons on the microwave. She appears a moment later, grabs his hand, and all but sprints down the concrete stairwell. "Keys?" she asks, catching them when Midoriya tosses them her way. "Don't ever do what I just did. You understand me?" "Yes, Mama." She pushes open the front door, tucks a strand of thick hair behind her ear. "You will be smart, smarter than I ever was. You understand? Yes, Mama. She unlocks Dad's car, helps him inside, and buckles his car seat. There's a moment of pure silence when she shuts the car door. He's unaware it will be the last silent moment he has for a very long time. Mama tugs her door open, slips inside. Their eyes lock in the rearview mirror for only a moment, a tear running down her face before she looks away and turns the ignition. They peel out of the rundown apartment complex quickly, cars honking when Mama JRKS in front of them. She keeps driving, only glancing at him for a moment before clicking on the radio. It's not quick enough. A loud, window-shattering explosion erupts. Midoriya doesn't scream. He's quiet as he turns around in his booster seat. He stares out the back window, bright eyes watching their apartment complex. Smoke fills the air, hot fire raging from the windows. Police sirens rage down the road, fire trucks blare their horns. Mama turns the radio up. Midoriya turns forward again, and when their eyes lock once more, he smiles. No one will ever hurt Mama again. Midoriya grunts as he shoves a trash can, ignoring the sound of shouting coming from behind him. Trash clatters in the alleyway, blocking his pursuers long enough to get a lead on them. Tourists aren't usually as vigilant as these ones were, so enamored by Tokyo's flashing lights or large hero population. Typically, it's easier to pickpocket. Get back here, you EDP sucker. English is such an expressive language. It's a shame Americans use it for so much hate. Midoriya whips around a corner, one of the tourists still hot on his heels. He pushes through crowds of people, shouting apologies as they glare or murmur. Cars honk when he dashes across the street. He puts his hand against the hood of one, slides across the metal, and pushes off the frame for a chance at more speed. He's scrawny, but the perks of being scrawny are speed. He might get hooped in fights, but only when he's cornered. So he makes sure he's never cornered. His backpack rattles with the handful of new wallets he's stolen, bouncing alongside watches, rings, priceless necklaces, and a few phones. He even managed to nab a passport off a red-faced American woman who had a bit too much of an attitude on the bullet train. Still, the angry tourist pursues. Not all men are created equal, a hard lesson Midoriya learned at the ripe age of 4. It's not his fault that everyone else had to learn it far later than he did. Everyone gets a shitty hand at some point. For example, Midoriya got dealt the quirkless card, effectively costing him any ounce of humanity or kindness from the world. One stolen wallet or cell phone doesn't equate to a lifetime of doing everything in his power to blend into the background, but it's still an unfortunate situation for the man chasing him. Can you imagine a fate worse than that? Losing your wallet on a multi-thousand-dollar vacation to an overpopulated country with your obnoxious wife and small children who won't even remember the racist comments thrown around the entire trip? Oh, the terror of it. Poor guy. Midoriya shoves past a couple enjoying a date, ignoring the pang of jealousy it sparks within him. You'd think he'd be used to seeing lives so different than his own, but he isn't. Try as he might to ignore it, he knows better than anyone that he is different. He doesn't align with the values of the world. Get back here. The tourist screams at him, huffing and puffing. Midoriya laughs out, no thanks. He comes across an alleyway and quickly realizes he's pinned himself between a chain-link fence and the angry man. Without a thought, he slings his backpack off, tosses it over the fence, and begins to scramble up. He makes his halfway before the man tugs on his red shoe, shouting profanities. Sorry, man. Midoriya swings his other leg free, bashes it against the man's shoulder, and scampers up the remaining prongs. He throws himself over the other side, and scoops up his yellow backpack before he takes off again. He feels guilty, he really does. But he doesn't regret it. Not even a little bit. Tokyo is a big city, notorious for its tourism and general appeal. It's where the Heroes Commission is based, where yearly hero stats are released to the world based on performance. Growing up, Midoriya had always dreamed of coming to Tokyo from his small, little apartment miles away from here. He had always wanted to be a hero, shooting through the sky and taking on bad guys. And, despite his situation, he's going to achieve that dream. One way or another. He made a promise to protect Mama, and it's one he intends to keep. It takes several hours to get back home. A few stolen bus passes lead him to a neighboring town, one that doesn't pay much attention to wandering strangers. Midoriya is small, able to blend in, to keep a low profile. He tugs his hood over his curls, tightens a black face mask over his mouth. A spare pair of sweatpants hides the remainder of his middle school uniform. Just like that, he blends into the crowd. His backpack is so dirty with muck from the chase that it's nearly black. It leaves only his shoes as a blinding eyesore, but one glance at them reveals they're nothing special. The only quirkless shoemakers left, specifically made to accommodate the extra joint in his toe that hints at his fate. Even then, if you didn't know or care about people like him, you'd rarely notice at all. He slips through the bus stop, moving along a sidewalk until coming across a pawn shop. Midoriya pushes the door open slowly, peering inside to ensure it's empty of customers. Only then does he enter, tugging his bag off once again. The pawn shop is full of random pieces and objects. The owner's got eclectic taste, but as maximalist as the store is, everything flows together nicely. Mismatched rugs cover the tarnished wooden floors, dozens of random light fixtures are strewn across the walls or dangling from the ceiling, a deer head hangs on one wall, and a photo of a pug in a top hat reigns over the other. It's always a bit too warm, but no one would ever complain. "My favorite businessman," an obnoxiously loud man says. He's got a greasy wife beater with a black jacket layered over it and a sheet-eating grin. "Haven't seen you in a fat minute, kiddo." "Schoolwork," Midoriya says quietly, unzipping his backpack. "I have to study." "You're going to, aren't you?" he asks, resting his forearms against the smudged glass cases he's behind. "Isn't that entrance exam coming up?" Midoriya nods, fishing around his bag. He's got a good haul today. A lot of people come to the city the closer and closer exam day gets because it's less crowded. Locals typically flock to the school, eager for a peek at the potential new students and future heroes. As important as it is to study and prep for the entrance exam, it's also important to guarantee he has a place to live during the school year. So, Midoriya carefully plucks copious amounts of jewelry from his bag, laying them on the glass case for Chikara. His quirk is an interesting one-metal discernment. Even in a world where lesser quirks like Chikara are frowned upon, he made something of himself. When it comes to the workforce, Midoriya has given up trying. Nobody hires the quirkless nobody who does background checks, at least. He's tried the more hidden population of the world, more than willing to get his hands dirty, but trusting a kid isn't an easy sell. So he makes do in the way he can. Chikara plucks up one of the watches. "It would be a waste for you, kiddo." Midoriya shrugs his bag back on. "I'm going to be a hero." Chikara chuckles. "How many heroes do you know with analytical quirks?" Midoriya had almost forgotten that even people like Chikara don't associate with the quirkless. So, again he made do. He got away with the lies about having a quirk for a little while at school, but Kaken made sure it didn't stay under wraps for very long. It spread like wildfire after that. With 20% of the world's population being quirkless, it's reasonable to assume they'd just be walking around like regular people. The reality is much darker than that. He's not stupid. He's seen what happens to people like him. There's a scale of power in this world, and Midoriya knows that, no matter what, he will never be on top of it. So he does his best to work within the confines of it, and even then, it's rarely enough. Lots of underground heroes are analytical, Midoriya says as Chikara examines his haul. Lots of dirty heroes too. It pays to be smart, Chikara says. For all his doubts, Chikara believes that Midoriya will make it to UA. They have an unofficial official deal. If Midoriya becomes a hero, then he leaves this side of town alone. As rampant as crime is here, Midoriya has little interest in petty thieves or gang violence. Heroism isn't about purity. Maybe it was when Midoriya was little, but years as a quirkless, half-black half-Japanese kid will teach you a plethora of things. The world was not created equal, and whatever idiot said violence cannot be fought with violence was just as dumb as the person who likely killed him. Heroism is about doing what is necessary, and sometimes that isn't always the right thing. He's gotten his hands dirty before, he doesn't mind doing it again. Memories of a burning apartment and back alley dealings melt into his mind. Mama fought tooth and nail for him, and he's going to make sure she never has to again. I'm thinking a couple grand, Chikara interrupts Midoriya's mental turmoil with a weary glance. He must have been muttering, "Your mom still need help with rent?" Though his face burns, Midoriya nods. 4 grand should do you good, yeah? Cover rent, maybe a couple bills, and some groceries. I can't do more than that, so don't haggle me, kiddo, he says, already opening his register. Yeah. And Midoriya takes the money eagerly. Chikara is fair with his prices, one of the reasons Midoriya comes to him and not any of the other pawnbrokers. He's one of the few people who don't try and swindle a kid, and one of the few people who don't see race. Kudos to him. Midoriya wishes he knew Chikara's stance on the quirkless, but it's not a risk he's willing to take. The bell above the door jingles when he pushes it open. Hey! He stops, looks over his shoulder. You hear All Might's in town? Midoriya, despite himself, can't help the way his eyes blow wide. He backs into the store again, earning a laugh from Chikara. It's all I'm hearing about. But, between you and me. What is it? Midoriya leans over the counter, eager for any drop of information. There's a couple of guys talking about taking him out, some gang down east. Chikara shakes his head. They're rallying up more and more people, couple of jailbreaks too. There's no way they can take out All Might, Midoriya argues. Hey, I agree with you. Chikara puts his hands up in defense. But be careful getting home at night, yeah? Never know what psychos are out and angry. Yeah. See you, kiddo. It's raining outside, dreary streetlights doing little to light up the path home. Still, Midoriya walks it, rolling his ankle as he goes. That tourist had nearly ripped it off his body. No doubt it'll leave bruises, but it's a small price to pay. He counted the stolen cash from wallets on his way over. While people hardly carry cash anymore, it was still enough to make a difference. It's enough for groceries, plus Chikara's payout will cover what mama misses in rent. For a woman working 2 jobs with only 1 child, rent should be reasonable. But their landlord doesn't take kindly to the quirkless, much less to women who won't sleep with him. They make do, they always have. Some days, Midoriya wonders why mama didn't just leave him behind. It would have been easier, far better for her in the long run. She could have been working a better paying job, in a better part of town, with a bunch of kids who had more of a potential than he ever did. Instead, she took him along, and while he knows there's no ounce of regret in her heart, he can't help but wonder if she ever wanted more. More than this, more than him. More than 2 minimum wage jobs and a kid who is likely to never make it past his teens. And other days, he resents her for it. Resents her for locking him in that closet, keeping him removed from the torment Dad put her through. Resents her for not keeping him there when she left, letting the fire burn away any trace of her past. Resents her for putting so much work into a new life, but still dooming them to the exact fate they live now. The truth is, she's a good mom, but she's not a good person. Not by the standards bestowed upon the world they live in, not even by herself. But she's a good mom, a great mom, and Midoriya will not become another number in the dwindling population of the quirkless and throw away everything she's ever done for him. He just wishes, selfishly, hopelessly, through no fault of her own, that she could have done more. Izuku. It's me, he says, slipping his backpack off and hanging it on a hook by the door. His shoes go next, and he barely gets the second one off before she's there, holding his face and kissing his forehead. How was school, baby? She asks, urging him to the kitchen. She sets a plate of food before him. On the rare days she comes home from work, she insists on cooking for him even when he's told her she doesn't have to. While this is not the domestic life he's sure she imagined, it's impossible to deny that Inko Midoriya is a mother, through and through. Fish and rice, cheap, but something he's always thankful for. Good, he says, only a half lie. It was an exam day, which means he gets to fly through the material, turn it in immediately, and earns so many dirty looks that he knows he's going to get his butt hooped later. But it's worth it if he's honest. Because for a split second, when Midoriya is at the front of the room, turning in his work before anyone else, he remembers what he's doing this all for. To succeed, to get into you, to become a hero, to do not what's right, but what's necessary. And nobody in the world seems to be ready to do what needs to be done. Nobody except All Might's back in Japan. Mama's fork pauses over her plate, and the elation on her face is hard to miss. Really? Yeah. He's finally back from the US. That's wonderful. She digs into her fish, smiling brightly. Maybe you can meet him. Midoriya laughs a little. Come on, Mama. In what world do I meet All Might? For some reason, that seems to still her. I wanted to talk to you about something. Midoriya pauses. What's wrong? This whole hero thing? Are you sure this is what you want? Mama sets her fork down, takes her hand from her spot across the table. If you don't make it into UA, I will. Izuku, why don't you think I can do this? He asks suddenly, and Mama's eyes blow wide. Is it because I'm quirkless? Honey, I'm serious, Mama. Why don't you think I can do this? They lifted the ban against quirkless kids. My GPA is unmatched. He'll know. He holds his breath to keep from freaking out. They don't talk about Dad. Ever. After everything we've been through, Mama runs a dark hand down her face. It's not that I don't think you can do this, it's that I know you can. What happens if you become famous, or God forbid, what if he's been looking for us this whole time? She squeezes his hand. I want you to succeed, but the consequences of your success could be your downfall, baby. Midoriya slumps. Am I supposed to just give up on being anything, Mama? No. She pushes his hair from his face. I know you've always wanted this. I just worry about you. He stares down at the fish, its bulging eye watching him. You've done a lot of things to make our lives better. I don't want you to think I'm being careless with that. I've never thought that, Izuku. Again, she strokes his face, long strands of green hair falling onto her own. It's because of you that getting into UA is so important to me. And she can't possibly understand what he means by that, but she nods all the same. I'll talk to Kaken tomorrow and see if I can arrange. You know. Mama scrunched her face, her eyes wet. Thank you. Anything for you, Mama. When he shuts off his bedroom light and slips into bed, a pit of dread weighs his stomach down. Today was a good day. He aced his exams, he pawned enough cash, it was supposed to be a good day. But run-ins with Kaken have always made him nervous. He avoids them at all costs, but he made a promise, and if he wants to keep it, then it involves being more than a little uncomfortable. School is one of the most difficult places to navigate for the quirkless. Suicide rates for kids like him are so high that it's more common for quirkless kids to die before adulthood than it is for them to graduate middle school. This is something that he's known since the news first broke about his unfortunate condition. Spider lilies on his desk, razor blades shoved through the slits of his locker, a printout of the newest confirmed suicide. He gets it. If anything, it urges him closer to UA, closer to wanting more. He's beaten the odds once. Why not do it again? Midoriya keeps out of the way for the most part. He doesn't seek out friendships or attention. The few times he's tried have only resulted in public humiliation, and as fast as he is, he can't outrun a school full of people. The day consists of getting in and getting out as quickly as possible, and hopefully, Mama isn't home to see the repercussions of when he isn't fast enough. A good education is what will get him into hero school, so a good education is what he gets. Contrary to what everyone at this school was made to believe, Midoriya's horrendous relationship with Kaken started years before they went to school together. Kaken's always hated him, as though it's been programmed into the boy's head since birth. Midoriya, on the other hand, he should be headed to cafeteria now unless he took a few seconds longer at his locker than usual, or maybe he's going to the bathroom, but he'd have to go to the first floor because the second floor bathroom is locked. But if that's the case, then he'd already be in the lunchroom. A hand grips the collar of his shirt, heat radiating from the fingertips. Midoriya hardly has a moment to curse himself for getting lost in his own head and mumbling like a maniac before he's slammed into the lockers behind him. His skull rattles off the cheap metal, vision swimming with the force of it. The sound reminds him of Mama's jaw, and suddenly he feels sick to his stomach. Are you effing stalking me? He blinks slowly, trying to gather his mind long enough to form a coherent sentence. You've got about 5 seconds to answer me before I melt your mouth off your stupid effing face. Kaken, he manages, wincing when his eyes finally adjust and focus on the very irritated boy before him. I wanted to talk to you. Kaken's eye twitches, a vein popping in his forehead. You think you're worth a second of my time, Deku? No, he says quickly, waving his hands rapidly. I mean a yes. Well, not really, He gasps when Kaken shoves him against the locker again. Ow, okay, that one hurt really bad. Shut up, Kaken says through gritted teeth. Every single interaction with you gives me a FANG migraine. That's not good, Kaken. His airway closes when Kaken wraps a hand around his neck, so he squeaks, you should get that checked out. Do you think I won't kill you, Deku? You and your smart mouth can rot in hell for all I care. It hurts, it makes his chest ache and his eyes water, but he talks anyway. I need your help. Like I'd ever if I help. And Mitsuki. Kaken lessens his grip enough to get a large gulp of much-needed air down. What the hell are you talking about? Midoriya doesn't mention that he had been trying to tell him before Kaken literally choked him out. Instead, he grips Kaken's wrists that still hold him against the locker, hoping to leverage himself in case he's thrown or choked again. Kaken stares at their connecting skin, lip curling. I need to talk to her about Rin. Kaken drops him, just like that. Before he can right himself, he's taking a knee to the stomach and kicked to the hard floor. Lunch has already started, not that it matters if anyone were around to see. Nobody would stop this anyway. Part because Kaken is horrifying, and part because Midoriya is not worth helping. Let me get this right, Kaken says, pushing against Midoriya's arm until he's rolled him from his fetal position. You think, after so many years of blissful silence from you, my mom wants to deal with your stupid butt? Midoriya clutches his stomach. This isn't about. I know what this is about, moron. Kaken grabs the collar of his shirt again, yanks him halfway off the ground. This is about my family cleaning up your FNG mess again. His heart sinks. Very few people in this world know about Midoriya's past. In fact, only 4 other people do. Mama, Kaken's parents, and Kaken himself. In an effort to get away from his dad, Mama called her old friend she lost connection with years before the abuse got as bad as it did. Mitsuki Bakugo, who uprooted her entire life to accommodate a friend she hadn't heard from in years, was the woman who answered the phone. For about a year, he and Kaken shared a room. Mama slept on the couch and things worked for a while. It was weird, but it was weird in a way that worked. Until it didn't. What is Rin going to do to you this time, huh? Kaken spits at him. Your teeth? Your voice? Midoriya shuts his eyes. I don't know yet. Oh, F you. Another blow to the stomach, and Midoriya holds down last night's dinner. You can change your hair and your eyes, but you can't change what you are. And you are FNG. Pathetic. Say it. Kaken smiles. Go on, say it, Deku. His lips tremble. I'm pathetic. Kaken's eyes flicker, and Midoriya takes the chance to again grab his wrist to steady himself. The second he makes contact, he's thrown backwards, recoiling off the ground. It hurts, his body aches and sings with pain, but he endures it all the same. The only reason I'm allowing this is because charity work looks great on a resume. Kaken stares down at him, daring him to try and stand up. Find me after school. If you so much as whisper a word of this to anyone, you'll kill me, Midoriya says quietly. Kaken says nothing more, just spits on him before he turns and leaves. For a long while, Midoriya sits there and debates whether or not it's worth it to get back up again. For all his taunting, Kaken has never told a soul the truth about that night, and it's a truth that's always held a shadow over their relationship. Midoriya was born different. And not just because of his lack of a quirk, but because he was literally born different. Mitsuki Bakugo is a renowned fashion designer with her own modeling agency. She's wildly successful, rich, talented, all traits passed to her son. But before she was that, she was Mama's best friend. Mama used to tell him stories about her when he was little. A fierce and loyal friend, someone abrasive yet extroverted, a friend who saved Mama from bullies or gossip. And powerful friends lead to powerful allies. Mitsuki hired a woman by the name Rin to help models temporarily fit a different narrative. She's since quit and moved to bigger things, but there was a time when Rin did her first permanent work as someone with a DNA splicing and altering quirk. Midoriya and Mama had black hair, dark as night. Mama's eyes were a soft brown, but Midoriya wasn't so lucky, stuck with Dad's deep, red eyes. So Rin changed it. Permanently. Alongside scars and their ears, Mama's cheekbones and their fingerprints. Illegal modifications, but something to make them new, make them unrecognizable. From there, new people were born. Mama did most of the work, but Auntie funded it. New social security, new IDs, new passports. There was no line that wasn't crossed to separate the new from the old, and what was left of them burned to ash in that apartment miles away. But one thing Rin couldn't do was give him a quirk. The lie lasted until Midoriya told Kaken the truth one summer night. Mama had them packed up and moved out the next day. She hasn't talked to Auntie since that night. She doesn't blame Midoriya, he was so young. But for nights, he could hear her crying, and he'd think about where they'd be if he just kept his mouth shut. He feels his hair, green. He blinks his eyes, green. And he wonders what else is going to have to change for him to become a hero. Rin's work hurt when he was younger, he can't imagine what it'll be like now. And with something more structured, like his nose or jaw. The thoughts terrify him. But he promised Mama he'd keep her safe, and he doesn't break his promises. Kaken is easy to find when you know him as well as Midoriya does. He's leaning against the brick wall of the back of the school, as far away from everyone else as possible. He doesn't want to be seen with Midoriya, and that's all right. Midoriya doesn't blame him, he wouldn't want to be seen with himself either. But for a moment he stands there, staring at Kaken with his explosive hands dug deep into his pockets. What would it have been like if he had never told him the truth that night? Would Mitsuki have kicked his mom out? Would they be friends still? Would he lie and tell them all he had some lower-level quirk and lived a life with no bruises and broken bones? Does Kaken ever think about it? When he snaps out of his daze, Kaken is already looking at him. Eyes narrowed, a permanent scowl on his face, there's nobody in the world who has ever looked so disgusted by him. Walk behind me. Don't talk to me. And if I hear one muttered word from your mouth, then you can find Rin on your own. Midoriya furrows his brows. We aren't going to Auntie for help? Kaken blinks slowly. Did I just say? Midoriya purses his lips and mimes zipping them and throwing Kaken the key. Kaken doesn't so much as blink before turning back around and marching away. For the record, Midoriya didn't talk for a while. He counted 5 minutes before the words in his chest built up so much that the pressure was unbearable. Did you know All Might is back in Japan? Kaken lets out a long, pained sigh. He wasn't supposed to come back so soon. I've got a few guesses as to why, but don't you think it's so bizarre how he hasn't made any official statements? I looked into it last night and it turns out that nobody knows. It's almost like he's trying to keep it a secret. But why would All Might do that? The world's #1 hero trying to sneak around Japan? Maybe something happened in America? Or maybe... Deku, do you want to learn what it feels like to have your tongue torn out of your throat? Not really. Kaken turns his head and Midoriya swallows. Sorry. Keep being a smart but I dare you. It's silent again for a long time. When it's broken, it's a shock that it's by Kaken. Why do you need Rin anyway? Very rarely does he ask questions, let alone questions about Midoriya. He's never cared enough, or he's smart enough to figure things out pretty quickly. Kaken doesn't ever reveal his hand. As hot-headed as he is, he's good at piecing things together without anyone knowing. All Might is back in town, Midoriya says softly. He always announces his presence or makes a show to let people know they're safe. But this time, he doesn't want anyone to know. Kaken let out a low laugh. And I'm assuming this is something one of your buddies told you? Given it's not in the news. Midoriya hesitates. It's true. There was a mention of an eyewitness account of someone being saved, but Chikara didn't mention that. Unfortunately, it's people who are subjected to the worst parts of life that often learn crucial news first. Chikara has connections that Midoriya prefers not to think about, but every time he's told him something, it's turned out true. He's unsure if Kaken is mad that he has these connections, or because he found out about All Might first. Competitive, hot-headed, but cynical and intelligent. It was hard to navigate when they were younger, and as much as he had wished it would get easier, he knows better now. And I'm guessing, Kaken stops to turn to him. You learn the information while doing something extremely legal and morally correct? Midoriya's face burns, but he confesses, unashamed, we needed to make rent. Kaken faces forward again, keeps them walking down a dirty sidewalk. So you hear a rumor and run with it, sounds like your stupid self. I won't risk anything happening to Mama. Suddenly he whirls. Midoriya catches his breath in time before he's slammed up against the outside of a random house. It hurts worse than the school lockers, but a little pain is worth it. After this is done, Kaken hisses, hands hot, begging to burn. Never talk to me again. Never mention my mom again. After this, we are strangers, do you understand? He grabs his wrist, feet dangling. Strangers. G got it. Kaken releases him with a shove before gesturing to the house. We're here. Rin has moved home since Midoriya last saw her. She used to live in a big, pink house that she absolutely adored. Blue shutters, flowers adorning every inch of grass. The house he stands at now is a far cry from that beautiful home. Rotted wood, shattered and boarded up windows, cigarette butts and alcohol bottles strewn across the grass. If anyone knew Rin before she left the modeling agency, they never would have seen these living conditions coming. But permanent body modifications are illegal, and once you start something, it's impossible to stop. He blames himself for her downfall, he started it. But he never expected this much fallout. She was wealthy, successful, she was something. Her dream was stolen from her. Does she blame him, too? Kaken doesn't say goodbye. By the time Midoriya turns to thank him or apologize for again dragging him into his troubles, he's already gone. So, now alone, he knocks on the front door. It doesn't open for a while, so he knocks again, and it swings wide. He jumps back instinctively when a large baseball bat comes swinging for his head. He's not so lucky the second time when the wood collides with his shin. He yelps and hits the concrete steps to the door at full force, cradling his newest injury. I told you to leave me alone. A deep, trembling voice shouts. When he looks up, he sees her, baseball bat held high over her head and ready to swing. Wait! Midoriya holds his hand out, braces for the blow. Wait, please. It's me. Midoriya Izuku. A moment, and then the bar is lowered with a gasp. Holy F dash dot. Rin. It held. She drops to her knees, and he's hit with the stench of pot and lack of hygiene. I knew it would. I knew it. They all said the color wouldn't stay, but I told them it would. What? He asks, patting her back when she leans in and hugs him tight. She's dirty, grimy, living in horrific conditions. But there was a time when Rin had it all. So for the woman he used to know, he holds her close. The green, she cries, holding his face in her palms. I made you green. Midoriya gives a shaky smile. Why yeah, you helped me and my mama. Rin stands then and tugs him to his feet. She mutters an apology for his leg and helps him limp inside. The inside of her home is an eclectic mess. Most of the furniture she had years ago is stuffed into the small space, crammed full of colors and textures. It's as if she kept everything she had before moving away, even if it didn't all fit. Pinks and oranges and red are a reminder of her former glory. He spots chairs stacked on couches stacked on coffee tables. Hundreds of makeup bags torn up and strewn about. Dirty clothes tossed carelessly around. Still, he can see glimpses of her that have ingrained themselves into his brain since childhood. A spinning makeup artist chair, a rack of clothes and costumes, handmade quilts and knitted blankets. What happened to her? It's not much, she says softly, scratching the back of her head. This is all I got. What happened, Rin-senpai? He crouches down to a torn shirt, tugs it free. She wore this when he first came to her years ago. All Might merchandise. He can barely see it in the darkness of her home. When was the last time she had the funds to pay for electricity? I learned my quirk could be used for more than quick fixes and ran with it. She laughs humorlessly. What if a mess, huh? I can help fix it, he offers, standing again. Clean it up a bit. She slumps down into her spinning chair, basked in the flickering lights of what used to be a lovely vanity. No, it's all right, kid. Midoriya offers a small smile. Are you sure? Yeah, what did you need? She pushes off her stool and approaches. Her usually upkept appearance has withered, likely a side effect of overusing her quirk on herself. Her voluminous blonde hair has dropped limp and muted. Her bright blue eyes have returned to their natural, sad brown. Her entire face sags with an age she has yet to reach. She looks genuinely awful. Your color held pretty well. She again takes his face in her hands, turns his head to the side. Ears maintain shape. You remember? He asks. I remember every single client, she confesses, before gently grasping his hands and lifting them to her. Fingerprints kept form. Everything you altered held up. Even when my hair grew out, it stayed green. Again a small smile. I was hoping you could alter me a bit more, actually. Rin chuckles softly before moving away. Nobody ever asks me for help anymore. Why is that? He asks. She grips the back of her chair, looks into the vanity mirror. Her eyes are bloodshot, and her shoulders slump with an invisible weight. I killed a kid. Midoriya's heart drops to his feet. What? It was an accident, I swear. She shakes her head. I altered a bone, she fell on it mid-growth, and that's that. He stayed quiet. Goodbye job, goodbye house, goodbye everything. Her jagged nails drum against the chair. I helped a few people before it all came crashing down, but, illegal quirk usage mixed with child murder? I didn't really stand a chance after that. I'm sorry, he murmurs, toeing the ground. You ran. I had the choice to run away and live in a shithole, or stay and get thrown in jail, a shithole. But they would have cuffed me with those quirk suppressors, so, she shrugs. I followed those stupid laws against quirks like mine, and then they just kept cracking down on it. No permanent work. No bone alteration. No DNA alteration. No me. Not being able to use it was driving me insane. Could you imagine a jail full of people like that? On the brink of losing their minds because some assholes decided our quirks were wrong. You can't imagine that because he'll never know that feeling. He knows that his mom would get hand cramps unless she regularly used her quirk. He knows that Kaken would accidentally set things ablaze or blow holes into objects if he went too long without using it. He knows that pressure builds within you, and suppressing a quirk could be catastrophic. Some pros would go weeks without usage so they could unleash the pent-up power in one foul swoop on missions. But he'll never know that feeling. He's come to terms with it, but it doesn't change the restlessness inside him. The urge to be more, to do more. To be something he's never really had sight of. I don't blame you, he tells her. Because one thing he can relate to is a lifetime of being told you're wrong for just being born different. I'm sorry this happened to you. She waves him off and turns around. What do you want to change? Midoriya hesitates. When he doesn't answer immediately, Rin begins to suggest things. The bridge of his nose, the structure of his jaw, the shape of his teeth, the curve of his lips. It occurs to him then that he doesn't really want to change anything at all. He doesn't think he's attractive by any means, but he's begun to like his face. Plain, freckled, easy. A face born to blend into the background. Here. She swiped off her vanity of its clutter. Sit, let me do my work. So he does. He lets her trail her fingers along his skin, adjusting his appearance in micro touches. Hot pain shoots through him occasionally, but it vanishes quickly. Despite how long it's been and how little he truly knows Rin, he doesn't fear this. So he lets her work, lets her fingers create something new, something different. You're going to use still? She mumbles, dragging her fingers along his brow. He hums his answer. You're wasted there. He swallows. What do you mean? Rin whistles a little tune. It never sat right with me, even before things began to change so much. Grooming children to become government-loyal killers. He frowns. Not all heroes kill, it's illegal. Rin outright laughs. When has the law ever stopped those with power? She muses his hair. The only difference between heroes and villains is the media coverage, kid. Just another bunch of little boxes to shove human beings into to determine their worth. You really believe that? He asks, his heart heavy. What I did for you and your mom, that was heroic, I think, Rin says thoughtfully. But what I did to that little girl, that was the worst thing I've ever done. In the eyes of a hero, I'm a villain. B, but it was an accident. How many innocent people do you think get by on the idea of accidents? Rin asks him before dropping her voice to a whisper, how many accidents have you been chastised for? 9.5 years ago, Mama had begged Rin to get rid of the extra joint in his foot. Any and all proof of quirklessness could vanish without that stupid bone. But Rin had refused. Her words have ingrained themselves in his mind for years. There is no amount of change that can alter what you really are. The color of our skin, the way we sound, the position we hold ourselves, an extra joint in the toe. And he had cried, had taken his shoes and socks off and outright begged. He's not grateful that Rin refused, but he is grateful for the lesson she taught him. No matter what, Izuku Midoriya, you will always be quirkless. Done. He turns to the mirror, stares into it, and his eyes widen. What did you do? The darkness that once captured the room has lifted. Within it, he can make out shapes that were previously lost to the dim lighting. Smells slowly waft in, rotten wood and makeup remover the most prominent. But he never could have smelt this before, never could have seen this before. She altered his vision, his sense of smell. And as a car whizzes by on the street outside, he discovers she altered his hearing too. I gave you more rods within your eyes. It's a photoreceptor. That's highly sensitive to low light. You gave me night vision? He whirls, eyes wide. That's amazing. Rin smiles sweetly. You'll need every advantage you can get. He throws himself forward, yanks her into a teary-eyed hug. He never knew she could do this, but altering the genetic components of his DNA could easily make his eyes adaptable to a low-lit environment. He has no idea what impact this will have in the daylight, but he's not too sure he cares. He has FNG night vision. Why is it so wrong for her to do this? To help people? How many blind could she cure? How many cleft lips could she restore? How many cancer cells could she eliminate? Why did a government that never met her determine how her life could be lived? I'm glad. I got to help someone again. She wipes her own tears before pulling away. Let me help you, he says, grasping her hands. We can sell some of this stuff, make a few grand. We can get you back on your feet. You can get a job like this underground. Me and Mama can take you in if you'd like. Our couch is so insanely comfy. And you won't need to pay rent or... No. He shuts up, catches his breath. No. I've made my bed, I'll lie in it. She pushes his curls from his face. I've already had a few guys come by and try to save me from all this shit. It's okay. He furrows his brows. I don't understand? Rin sighs, looks around. There's no point anymore. I've lived my prime, you know? You're gonna be something. But I'm done. I've hit my peak. Sometimes it's best to know when to give up. He squeezes her hand. Things can change. She gives him a gentle smile. You sound like, what's the guy's name? She waves a hand. There's this group of low-lives east of here that are sprouting the same sheet. East? Hadn't Chikara mentioned a gang in the east forming against All Might? Some of them stopped by here, trying to recruit people. A couple of rough-looking guys. They almost had me convinced this league thing they were forming was a good idea. She pulls her jacket tight. If Hero School doesn't work out, or you and your mom need some place to go, head east. There's some kind of abandoned building that's taking freaks like us in. Will you go? He asks. Rin stares off at her pile of furniture. I thought about it. And? Again that delicate smile. I'm really happy I got to use my quirk again, that I got to see you at all. Midoriya nods. I'm happy too, Rin. Then I guess I'll see you when you're a pro. I guess you will. It's sunset when he leaves her small little house. Despite the darkening sky, can see just fine. He's not sure he'll ever get used to this, if he's honest. He wonders if his pupils contract and expand the same, or if he jolts, birds screaming and flying overhead as the sound of a gunshot goes off. He looks at Rin's house, hears the thud of a body with his altered ears. And that's that. No cop cars come. No sirens sound. No heroes swoop in. In the middle of nowhere, a woman with a lesser, frowned-upon quirk lived. She used to be something. But when you've lost everything, it's easier to lean into the despair of it than it is to recover. Heroes can't save everyone. So Midoriya stares at the rotted front door for a good while, his hands shaking so horribly it's a wonder that he can use them at all. He plucks a lone flower growing from a gutter and leaves it on her front porch. A small piece of beauty in a rusted, moldy neighborhood. Then he leaves. And he's not sure who to tell that her quirk still held. Even in death. He's lost. He started off on the right path home, he thinks, but at some point he began to wander. Kakin led him to Rin's house, but there was no one to guide him back home. He's not sure he'd be able to follow them even if they were here. It's dark outside, but he can see clearly. People scarcely walk by. Cars cruise down roads. The world keeps moving and that's that. He's freezing cold, his school uniform doing little to protect him. It's going to be spring soon, and in the summer he'll have his entrance exam to UA. With his heightened senses, he's sure to make it in. It should be a victory. But it's cold outside, and he's never felt so alone before. Most quirkless kill themselves before they graduate middle school. Less than a quarter of a lifetime is enough to determine they don't want a chance living any longer. What are the statistics for lesser quirks? A prong up from his own on the social hierarchy, but hardly by much. Do they ever freeze on nights that have no breeze? Is it just him? When those recruiters come knocking on Rin's door, will they realize it's unlocked? Will they go inside? He should have gone inside. He should have called someone or what? She's a criminal, who would have mourned her? They would have asked why he was at the scene, what he was doing, where his parents were. They would have seen his school uniform and the limp in his leg and insisted they take him to a hospital or police station. And when they ran his name through their system and came across his quirk listing, they would have thrown him right back out. So what? What was he meant to do? Stay and dig a grave in the concrete of her front steps? Pay for a funeral he can't afford? Call the cops, who already don't like kids like him? What was he supposed to do? He should have gone inside. Just to say goodbye or to scavenge for jewelry to sell? Or, I don't know. His voice is hoarse, and when he leans his forehead against the brick of an old building, he only then feels the wet trails of tears that had been streaming down his face. I don't know what to do anymore. He's lost. He lost. Why did she have to go and die? How is that fair? Why does she get to die, and he has to live with the bits and pieces of her still sewn inside him? She had a quirk, she had a fancy life and money, and it wasn't enough. Not in this world. But maybe in the next. Is that his fate? Is this his prime? Petty theft and concussions? Never landing a job, running around Tokyo with stolen train cards? 14 years sounded hard, but he did it. How many more? Maybe Rin was right. Help me. He jolts, looking around the deserted street. There's nobody out. Shops have all closed down. An orange street lamp illuminates the surrounding building. Rain fell at some point, but the sky is clear now. Stars shine down, the moon watching what he'll do next. He's not sure what it wants, looking at him as though he's going to do anything at all. Someone silence. His ear twitches, and he turns left to the sound of a woman screaming. He's not sure what the hell he's doing. He's no hero. He never was. He's not sure he ever will be, but someone is screaming for help, and for some reason he got lost and ended up right where she needed him to be. So he starts running. His shoes splash in puddles and grind against concrete, but he runs all the same. The notebooks in his backpack jostle, his pencil case bounces against the zipper. He's fast, he's always been fast. He's just got to be fast enough. He turns down an alleyway, panting, then comes to a halt. It's quiet out. No one screams. So he stands there and listens and stares at the moon. Come on, he mumbles. Then he's looking around the forked layout of the town he's landed himself in. Brick buildings, older, so he must be close to school. What else? He spins, scans the alleyways. On the gravel is a plastic cup from a coffee shop, a popular one. Which means he's close to the bus stop. Somewhere between a coffee shop, a bus stop, and his middle school. That means all the surrounding buildings are relatively low to the ground, which means he spots a drain pipe and begins climbing without second thought. The notches for the screws are his only clutch. Years of jumping fences and swiping wallets have kept him nimble, calluses nearly already formed. So he climbs. Higher, higher, until he grasps the wet lip of the top of the building. Upper body strength has never been his forte, but with the leverage of the drain pipe, he pushes off the metal with his foot. Grunting, he hoists himself over the edge of the roof until his feet are planted on the ceiling. Up here, the moonlight shines down on him. It seems to tell him to hurry, to not wait a moment longer. And he listens. With a sprinting head start and a concerning lack of fear, he jumps from the building edge to the next. He barely grabs the concrete with his fingers, but manages long enough to throw an elbow over. Cursing and panting, he pulls himself up again. The wind seems to hold off once more, and Midoriya listens to the night air. And he hears it. Somewhere below him, metal clatters to the ground. It sounds like a trash can lid, and he happens to know that most shops keep their trash in gated side alleys. So he peers over edges, breath in his throat, and a woman is thrashing against a wall. A man pins her against it, a gloved hand over her mouth. She's crying, her hair stuck to her forehead and her skin worn with sweat as she tries to break free. It's not enough. She's not strong enough. Where is a hero? There's always at least once patrolling this area since its high crime rates are a risk. He blinks slowly, takes in the glove the man wears. The mask. The cape. This is the hero. He must be new, as Midoriya doesn't recognize him. But this is, undoubtedly, supposed to be the man who saves people in this town. What is he doing? Is this woman a criminal? But the hero reaches for his belt, and Midoriya feels a terrible pit of dread in his stomach. How many times had Mama locked him in that closet so he would not have to know what Dad did to her? How many times have girls at school cried in class or hid under hoodies? How many times is he going to hear about crimes and do nothing about it? There are no keys, there is no closet. There's just him. So he jumps off the roof and land on the motherfucker's back. F-dash. The hero screams, knees buckling and bending with the weight of a child thrown onto him. The good news, in his stupor to not break his legs, he released the woman, and she ran away screaming. The bad news, now it's just Midoriya and a corrupt hero with a mysterious quirk. Not ideal. The man throws him off with a shout, and Midoriya collides with the back of one of the store's walls. Turns out, it hurts a lot more when a grown man throws you full force into a brick building than it does when a group of teenagers throws you into a locker. White, hot pain rattles his spine, but he's gotten too many beatings to lose to some mediocre D-lister. Oh, if Kaken knew Midoriya just stole his mean insults, he'd be so mad. The hero swings, and Midoriya drops to the floor and kicks him so hard in the ball that there is no hope of the man ever having children. Good riddance, honestly. He squeals, literally, actually squeals, and Midoriya takes the chance to throw himself to the left. He's pushing off the ground a moment later, reaching for the metal prongs of a chain-link fence. He gets a leg up, then another, then a harsh tug against the back of his uniform sends him crashing back to the ground. The man bends down, grabs for him. You F'd with the wrong, Midoriya kicks him square in the mouth. Blood flies, the man's tongue flaps wildly, his teeth shattered. Midoriya kicks again, but the hero grabs his foot before it ever touches him. With one small shift of his body, he's got Midoriya pinned to the alleyway floor. His hands wrap around his throat, squeeze. Midoriya gasps, claws at his arms, flails his legs. It makes no difference. Blood drips onto his face from the man's mouth. Tears stream down Midoriya's face. And overhead, the moon shines down. Its light calls to him, begs him, and it sounds an awful lot like a promise he made to his mama. His vision spots and blurs as his hands search and claw at the ground. Gravel gathers under his fingertips. Blood dribbles off his face. And his hands find purchase on something solid and heavy. He holds tight and swings without second thought. Only when it collides with the hero's head does he realize he was holding a brick. It's quiet again, and Midoriya lies on his back, panting and gasping up at the night sky. The hero lay limp beside him, and when he turns his head, he sees the large dent he left in the man's temple. The bloody brick is still in his hand. Midoriya stares for a very, very long time. Then he stands, digs his hands into his hair and lets out a string of profanity so awful that his mama would cry just from hearing it. He's on his knees the next second, pushing against the man's neck for a pulse. Faintly he feels one. He's not dead, holy F-, I didn't kill him. Midoriya streaks his hands through his hair. That was self-defense, right? I won't go to jail? F-, I need to call, oh my god. He paces back and forth, drops the brick and picks it up over and over. It takes 5 full minutes to make up his mind. He scales the chain-link fence, fishes a few loose coins from his pocket, and slams them into the slot of the nearest payphone. It rings only once before a female voice answers. 911, what's your emergency? He breathes heavily, glances at the alleyway that is currently housing the soon-to-be close of a pro hero. Hello. Hey, he squeaks out before promptly dropping his voice as low as possible. I need an ambulance. The operator doesn't miss a beat. What is the injury, sir? I hit a pro hero over the head with a brick. She pauses. Pardon? I hit a pro hero over the head with a brick. Another long pause. Why? I need an ambulance. Can you state your name or location? He looks around. The wind whips at the telephone booth. I don't really know exactly where I am. There's typing on a keyboard for a brief moment before the operator says, I've pulled your location. Oh shit. I need your name, sir. And he's not sure why, but there's this gnawing, awful feeling in his chest. It screams at him not to answer, not to tell her. What would happen if he did? How long would it take to pin down his location, to pin down his and Mama's apartment? Would it still be considered self-defense if they knew he was quirkless? Would it matter that the hero was trying to RP a woman? Would it matter that he tried to kill Midoriya? There is no amount of change that can alter what you really are. Sir? The color of our skin. He drops the phone, sprints back to the alleyway. The way we sound. He stuffs the brick in his backpack before grabbing a glass shard from the alley floor. The position we hold ourselves. He cuts free the parts of the hero's uniform that he touched. An extra joint in the toe. A small packet of disinfectant wipes that his mama kept in his backpack are used to wipe the chain fence of his fingerprints. No matter what, Izuku Midoriya. He scuffs his own footprints in the mud, destroys any trace of his quirkless brand shoes. You will always be quirkless. And he runs away. Paranoia is a second skin at this point. It's been 2 days since the incident, and Midoriya hasn't slept for a single FING second. Wednesday, he nearly killed a man after the suicide of a woman he's known since he was 4. Friday, he's studying calculus. Police have been posted all over the neighborhood. The details of the attack were released this morning. The hero, known as Bluer, is currently in a medically induced coma. They aren't sure when he'll wake up, if ever. The general consensus is that he was attacked at night, and the criminal is violent and still at large. There's no mention of self-defense that both Midoriya and the woman the hero attempted to RP had done to him. Today, Midoriya wears his uniform's collar all the way up to cover. The ring of bruises on his neck. His leg still hurts from Rin's attack, and has only flared up with the run-in with the pro. It's got a nasty bruise, too, tender to the touch. He plans to collect some twigs and make a splint for it, but he's been too nervous to go outside for that long. In truth, he knows he's unlikely to get caught for the crime. He left no prints, no blood, no footprints, no signs of himself. A perk of the rain is the lack of evidence it leaves behind. And the woman, whoever she was, hasn't come forward. Attempted murder. He stills, turns his head to the front of the room. No one looks at him, though, they're all facing forward. Projected onto the whiteboard at the front of the class is the latest news reporting on the attack. Students murmur and gossip, make guesses at what happened and who did it. Nobody looks his way. Being quirkless means being forever and perpetually underestimated. What used to destroy him is now his cover, a safeguard. These people would sooner turn on each other than bat an eye in his direction. Except for one. Kaken is turned around in his seat. His hair still holds droplets from the rain outside. One streams down the side of his face, drops off his chin. They lock eyes, and for a moment he's absolutely certain that Kaken has figured him out. Did he realize that the scene of the crime was located in the precise town Midoriya would have to walk through to get home? Did he spot the bruises lining Midoriya's neck and know they weren't from his hands for once? Those red eyes narrow before Kaken turns back around again, wordless. Midoriya is fairly certain he's set himself by the end of the day. He packs his bag quickly, hands trembling just as they did when Rin died. He's as hungry as he is tired. He's been unable to sleep or hold food down, too busy scouring the internet for any trace of himself. Only his fake voice can lead back to him, and even then, it's iffy. Phone calls distort audio on their own, but with nightlife background noise and a faked pitch, there's no way they can pin it on him. Right? Deku. Dash. He packs quicker, shoves a notebook into his bag carelessly. Deku. The class begins to file out for the day. He zips his bag, adrenaline coursing through him. Hey! He's running. Some girl cusses him out when he slams into her, but shuts up immediately when Kaken bounces off her body. Midoriya will feel bad for shoving her later. Right now, he's running for his life. His steps hammer down the hall. Pain shoots up his leg, his back soars with it. He runs anyway. Someone keeps shouting after him. A few kids try to trip him. He slams into the stairway door, throws himself down the rickety steps with force. He grits his teeth through the pain in his leg and pushes past the shoe lockers and onto the street outside. One large, huffing breath of air before he's taking off after a passing bus. It speeds by, and he just barely grabs an outside rail and swigs his good leg up the bumper. Holding on for dear life, he catches his breath and pants through the throbbing agony of his leg. Only when the bus is turning to the next street does he look behind him. Kaken stands at the front gates of the school, hands clenched into fists. His shoulders rise and fall unsteadily, angrily, and that piercing gaze never wavers from Midoriya. He's shot by the time he's home. Exhaustion gnaws at him, hunger weighs him down. Mama's working overtime as she has for the past few days, which means it's another night to fend for himself. On days like these, he'd head to Tokyo for the undeniably busy weekend. But his screwy leg is against that idea as much as the knot in his stomach. He's gone a while without eating before, but mixing it with sleep deprivation is a risky game. Slinging off his backpack and kicking away his shoes, he debates what bodily function matters most to him. Sleep? Or self-preservation? Midoriya pokes open his bedroom door, on edge in case someone is hiding in there and waiting for them. In reality, he knows this wouldn't ever happen, but it doesn't change that his tired mind convinces him it can. His room is covered in All Might merchandise, and those dark eyes seem to be glaring at him now, calling him a coward. "Screw you," he says before promptly palming both his eyes. Now he's talking to walls, great. Slumping into his computer chair, Midoriya hovers over his keyboard. Since Wednesday, he's memorized his towns and the neighboring towns' layouts. Roads, buildings, businesses, houses, even the stoplights or stop signs. He's rebuilt the city within the confines of his mind, sieving through it for any chance that he'll get caught. He's taken everything into account. Even the witness. Dozens of Reddit threads point to her silence being a permanent addition to this case. Psychology says that victims who don't come forward right away typically never come forward at all. Even then, it was dark, rainy, and Midoriya was half the pro's size and in dark clothing. The odds of her seeing anything are slim. The odds of her reporting an attempted RPE by a pro hero are slimmer. If he were her, he'd thank his lucky stars that someone intervened and put the creep in the hospital, and then call it a day. It won't erase her trauma, but it should ease her fears. Plus, she can't come forward without shooting herself in the foot, right? She'll make herself the #1 suspect, and if she's from the same area that Midoriya is, which he predicts she is, then she's smart enough to know that the cops aren't on their side. She'd be lower class, a woman, and SXL assault victim. The police force cares less about her than nearly anyone else. It's a sad but disgusting truth. So that leaves one factor. Cameras. Midoriya clicks onto Reddit, opens a previous thread. The crime was reported on Wednesday night. It likely took all of Thursday to stop by businesses and ask if anyone saw or heard anything. And if he's right, then any pro or officer asking for camera footage would have to get a warrant. No business around here would easily associate and work with cops, And it takes about a day to get that. Combine that with a totally bizarre random chance phone call that all stores surrounding the area received, this weekend should have most places closed down. Was it morally wrong to call 6 separate businesses from 3 different payphones, pretending to be a radio show host giving away tickets to a concert in Tokyo this weekend? Was it also weirdly easy and sort of funny to do? Absolutely. Even better, all the payphones in the city can be accessed by taking paths through back alleys. So he's got the weekend to figure out the camera situation. And he's already begun the long and grueling process of the nerdiest thing he's done yet. Coding and using Reddit. You'd be shocked at the amount of illegal sheet people just confess to on Reddit. Since Thursday, Midoriya has been working through threads, troubleshooting a few programs and websites he can use. He's found a couple of online courses for coding that he's sped through. If he weren't so caught up on homework, he'd be screwed with the sheer amount of time he spends on the computer. But if he wants to get away with this, he can't stop. Not that he wants to. The worst part of all of this is that one fundamental truth. He likes this. He likes coding, he likes researching, he likes taking out corrupt heroes. Maybe it's the sleep deprivation talking, but the rush, the thrill, the small flip of his stomach when he jumped off the roof was exhilarating. He's learning that there are many reasons that people become pros. For the fame, for the money, for the altruism. Or for the rush. For the adrenaline that comes from a fight. For the whispers and murmurs of a crowd. It's awful, he knows it's awful. His intentions for becoming a hero had never been pure, but, God, it's enthralling. He saved a life. Midoriya Izuku, quirkless, useless, worthless, saved a woman's life. And he wants to do it again. You're kidding, 3 hours of troubleshooting and all I missed was a semicolon? He rubs his face. Can it get any worse? The landline rings. Midoriya freezes before slowly turning towards his door. He attempts to stand, but the blinding pain in his leg makes his knee buckle. Instead, he pushes the chair with his right leg, wheeling to the living room, then to the kitchen, until he reaches the landline. Times like these, he really wishes he could afford a cell phone. No caller ID does not help paranoia, fun fact. He answers and holds the receiver to his mouth, silent. There's no noise for a second, until a voice crackles over the line. Deku. He hangs up. The phone immediately rings again, and without a second thought, Midoriya unplugs it. Mama doesn't usually call, so he's not worried he'll miss anything important. The only thing he's worried about is Kaken somehow showing up to his house and blowing him to itty-bitty pieces. It's unlikely, since Kaken has no idea where he even lives, but Midoriya wheels to the front door just in case. He double and then triple checks that it's locked, turns off all the lights so nobody knows he's home, then wheels to the dining room to grab a chair and jam it under the handle. He's done for when he goes to school on Monday. But for now, Kaken can't reach him. 5 hours later, Midoriya has his first few hundred lines of code completed. He knows there are shortcuts and pre-programmed commands that he can use, but starting from scratch was the only option that seemed the most untraceable. He runs it, green text flying across the screen, and then a black box appears on the monitor. A few seconds later, and his monitor flickers, expands, and mirrors the screen of one of the shops. He did it. He did it. A few clicks later, and he's accessed the camera system. There are only 3 cameras, each one pointed at the inside of the store. He combs through footage, determines that no street shots are visible, then exits the program. Just like that. One of 6 possible cameras. He leans back in his chair, shuts his eyes for just a moment. 5 more to go. When he opens his eyes again, he's got a knot in his neck and lower back. It takes him looking out his window to see the sun shining high in the sky to start to panic. He fell asleep right there, computer screen blaring in his face. So he wastes no more time. The second and third cameras are the same as the first. The fourth is trickier to get into, since it's protected, but it only took him another 5 FING hours. The fifth was another bust. But the sixth? The sixth has a street view. And, clear as day, is that stupid payphone. Even worse, it caught him headed back to the alley, timestamp included. This is the most damning evidence thus far. He usually wears his hood when he's going to do something illegal, but he hadn't exactly planned this. He pauses when his head turns, and his obnoxiously bright shoes and backpack are in plain view. So is his entire guilty and petrified face. God damn it. His next search on Reddit is, how to delete camera footage from a store camera. He tracks down one user in particular who seems to know what he's talking about. The same user, purple_minion, had come up a few times in other threads as well. Midoriya clicks the profile, opens a DM, and begins to type. He's a bit embarrassed of his own Reddit name, but there are worse options. All Might Forever, could you tell me how to delete camera footage from a store camera without having access to the server? It's risky, but he's out of options. Even getting into the camera systems was hard, but erasing the footage right away is even harder. Purple_minion responds right away. Purple_minion, what's in it for me? All Might Forever, what do you want? Purple_minion, to know why you've been learning code to hack into computer systems. His heart stills, shudders. All Might Forever, how do you know that? Purple_minion, I'm watching your network activity. You should really invest in a VPN. Midoriya trembles, vomit stirring in his stomach. This is it. He's caught. Purple_minion, I've been cleaning up your trails, by the way. The pause. Purple_minion, I'll tell you how to terminate the footage, but only if you answer a question. All Might Forever, are you a cop? The response is an eye roll emoji. All Might Forever, what do you want to know? Typing bubbles appear, then disappear, then appear again. Purple_minion, why did you try to kill Bluer? Midoriya breathes heavily, his entire body shaking and buzzing. He's not sure how this guy knows this about him, not sure why they've been cleaning up his digital footprint. He's not even sure what he's supposed to say now. If he lies, there's a chance Purple_minion knows more than he lets on and screws Midoriya over. If he tells the truth, then this guy has a confession to use against him. But it comes down to that same question. How does Purple_minion know what Midoriya did? Did they also access the camera footage? Did they make a guess based on Midoriya's search history? Purple_minion, TikTok. Midoriya decides then that he's already in a vast amount of sheet. If he confesses in all honesty and this backfires, then there's still a chance that he can get away with it based on self-defense. So he tells the truth. All Might Forever, I saw him trying to RP a woman. I intervened. I didn't mean to hurt him, I swear. He was choking me and I needed to escape. I called the cops right after. The message lingers in chat for a moment before blipping out of existence. Deleted. Scrubbed from the internet in a way that should be impossible. Purple_minion, the line of code I'm sending you will erase the footage. A sequence of words and numbers follows the message. Midoriya types them into the IED and watches as the store footage corrupts. Just like that. All Might Forever, thank you. Purple_minion sends him a link as a reply. It takes Midoriya hours to work up the courage to click it. When he does, the message deletes itself and a new browser opens. It's a lockdown tab and opens to a new, small chat room. Only him and the guy are inside. What is this? Midoriya asks. His name in the chat has been changed to AM, the correspondent to PM. PM, I can't always be around to clean up after you. You want to learn how to code properly? Zero trace? Hack into nasty sheet? His good leg bounces as he responds. Then let's get started. Midoriya doesn't have friends. He never really has, he's certain he never really will. But this weekend was the closest he's ever come to it. He's still unsure why PM decided to help him, but he's far from ungrateful. It's a long journey to succeeding in coding, but bit by bit, he's learning. With no camera footage, no witnesses, no evidence, and no prints, the case is handed over to lesser detectives. They won't find anything. The video has been scrubbed, and the assault weapon sits under his bed with the cobwebs. He slept good over the weekend, ate plenty, found some sticks to make a splint for his leg. He's recharged, refreshed, ready to pretend the worst night of his life never happened. He's got hero school to train and study for, he's got his promise to keep, life is good. Deku. Scratch that, life as it is. He made it to the end of the hall and into the stairwell, but Kaken caught him with a hand wrapped around the string of his bag. So close, but so far. He would have been faster if this makeshift splint hadn't kept his entire leg locked up. The things he does to fix a measly little bruise. Kakin drags him by the backpack like it's a leash. He tosses him into the boys' bathroom, and one dirty look sends the few kids inside running. When they're gone, he locks the bathroom door, and Midoriya is struck with the sudden urge to make himself look as small as possible. A prey response, unfortunately. Who the F do you think you are? Ignoring me like FANG pages. Kakin approaches, lip curled into a sneer. I had to talk to my mom. Your mom works overtime at the end of the week. Try again, Kakin says, voice low and lethal. Midoriya doesn't have a spare moment to wonder why Kakin remembered such a small piece of information before the collar of his shirt is grabbed. Kakin yanks him forward, mouth set into a scowl. His eyes dart down and widen only slightly before he shoves Midoriya backwards. Kakin, what the F dash? He seethes and then grabs him again like a rag doll. His fingers tug the collar of his uniform down and reveals deep bruises. Where the hell did you get these? For the first time ever, Midoriya shoves him off. He adjusts his collar, shame eating at his face. Those are from when you grabbed me on Wednesday. I don't leave bruises. Kakin cuts him off, eyes slitted. Do I look like a effing idiot, Deku? Those spots cover your air pipe and go down to the FING trachea. That's not me. Midoriya blinks slowly. Kakin is so smart. Hidden under a rough demeanor is a top-ranked student with a perfect GP. Despite his cronies, he doesn't drink or smoke, and he workouts and trains as much as he studies. He's a practiced, well-oiled machine, and he's far from stupid. Mix it with this, Kakin says, kicking the wound on Midoriya's leg, and I'd say someone had it out for you. Why do you care, Kakin? Midoriya asks, voice shaking. And for the first time ever, Kakin is at a loss for words. What did Rin change, huh? He shoves him backwards. You look the same, so what did she change? Nothing. Really? Kakin asks, grinning down at him. You went over for a tea party? Is it so bad that I just wanted to see a friend? He asks. You're acting weird. I'm not. Motherfucker. Kakin lifts a hand, explosions blasting off his palm. I will effing kill you, don't you get that? Are you too stupid to get that? I did what you asked. I didn't talk to you or... The bell rings for the next PRD. Midoriya's sigh of relief drowned in its volume. Kakin is too much of a goody two-shoes to be late. It's one of the things Midoriya admires in him. This isn't over, Kakin says, backing up to the door. Something's off with you. If you think getting some illegal back alley shit done to you will give you the jump on me, you're dead wrong. I don't. The bathroom door slams shut, think that. It's never easy with Kakin. He'd give anything to know what goes on in his head. Sometimes he wonders if the anger is just a defense. He's not sure what against, but he can't imagine that being so angry at the world comes naturally. He's always known Kakin to be hot-headed, but he's never sought him out so much. It must be making him antsy. It's making Midoriya antsy too. Mama isn't home yet when school lets out. It's a good thing. She'd have something to say if she saw his limp, but it's not as if he could hide it very much. The bruise has only gotten worse. He really must have irritated it. He sits straight-legged in his computer chair before turning on the ancient PC. He's still not sure where Mama got it from. His best guess is someone at work was throwing it out, or a neighbor left it for the trash men. Either way, he's grateful to have it. A message waits for him. PM, done with school yet? Midoriya nibbles his lip before he replies. It's not fair that you know I'm still in school, but I know nothing about you. PM, it's your own fault for Googling how to get away with almost murdering a guy without a VPN. Watching you go down rabbit holes was my favorite pastime. Midoriya's lips twitch up. AM, you're evil. PM, so I've been told. A brief pause. PM, for the record I had school too. Midoriya lights up at that. Maybe we go to the same one. PM, please, I would be able to smell your guilt from across the hall if that was the case. AM, give me something to work with here. You've been teaching me code for days now, don't you think I deserve a little hint about you? PM, fine. Text bubbles, there and gone and there and gone. Over and over. A tirade of unsure messages before one is finally sent. PM, I don't have many friends. M, really? I couldn't tell. PM, your sarcasm can be heard through the screen, jackass. AM, if it makes you feel better, I don't have any either. Again, bubbles up and down and up and down and up again. PM, it does actually. M, don't be all mushy. Midoriya smiles, a true one this time, finding comfort in an anonymous person stuck in a similar situation. M, I like it better when you're mean to me. PM, me too, it's easier to. AM, PM, your mom is too busy doing that. AM, tell me something juicy. Something interesting. And this time, when the bubbles pop up, the message is shot over instantly. As though PM forced themselves to send it right away instead of dwelling on it. It lights up Midoriya's screen, plagues him with a truth he forgot about in his joyful rush to talk to a new potential friend. PM, my quirk is seen as villainous. For what might be the first time in his life, he forgot about quirks. And it was nice. They teased and joked, and talked, and Midoriya forgot to question if PM would ever associate with him if he knew the truth. Are you afraid? PM writes. Midoriya cracks his knuckles before responding. I don't think quirks can be inherently villainous or heroic. Just another box to shove people into. A test message, a way to feel it out. PM, I don't think I've ever met someone who thinks that way. It's refreshing. Midoriya almost smiles when the next message rolls in. PM, what's your quirk? What does he say? Honesty has gotten him this far with PM, but that only works when the person you talk to values honesty over comfort. It's disturbing how many people fool themselves into thinking they want the truth before willingly pulling a BLNDFLD over their eyes. PM was altered to Midoriya's online antics because of how many times he'd met him or clicked on his threads, an inherently invasive start to their friendship. The computer is registered to whatever random person was throwing it out, and he's been stealing internet from the neighbors for years. So a VPN trace couldn't lead directly to him. If he lies now, PM is unlikely to know the real reason. Especially not when he's taught Midoriya so many tricks in the past few days. He can effectively block networks from tracing him, can divert any pathing online to other locations that don't pertain to him. He's not great at it, but he's good enough. PM did all that without knowing Midoriya's quirk. Most people care to ask right away, but those who don't typically face some form of discrimination for their own quirk. It's how Chikara and Rin were, how the few lesser quirked people were that he's run into. PM, hello? AM, it's not something I really talk about. PM, I get that. Sometimes it's nice not to talk about quirks and all that bullshit, you know? AM, you have no idea. PM, want to learn how to hack into webcams? AM, obviously. He gets lost in that for a very, very long time. It's simple like this, nice, easy. A full day of being verbally berated and physically assaulted. This is almost like taking the power back. Kids at school are assholes, easily some of the worst people he's ever met. And pulling in front of them is something that never fails to bring him a bit of joy. It's prideful, sure, but he doesn't often get to have something that others don't. So he gets the good grades, the coding sessions, the amazing mama, and he runs with it. But something nags at him, pulls at him, urges him. He holds off from it a little longer, pushes the ache away until it dulls but throbs, pleading him. 2 weeks after the incident, Midoriya can't ignore it any longer. AM, I need to tell you something. PM, I'm flattered but not interested. It's not that. PM, the ominous ... makes me nervous. What's up? Midoriya takes a breath in, slowly forces it out. AM, the night I attacked Bluer, it's done something to me. PM, you mean the night you saved a woman's life, then fought for your own using a loose brick from a building? I imagine that can knock a few things around in the average person's head. No, it was like, you know those dreams you have about falling and you wake up startled and your heart's racing? He pauses. When I attacked Bluer, it was like my brain was finally clear. Nothing else mattered but me and him. It was like waking up from that dream. PM, wow, you're kind of poetic. AM, shut up. PM, so? Well now, you going to run around saving strangers from evildoers like some kind of vigilante? Midoriya hesitated before typing, "Yeah, I think so." PM's response is instant. PM, that was sarcasm. Are you suicidal? You almost died 2 weeks ago and you want to go and spawn camp another potential crime? AM, I helped someone. PM's bubbles pop up, then disappear again. AM, I've been told my whole life I'd never amount to anything, and just when I was starting to really believe it, I proved myself wrong. For a moment, I was worth something, I was proving something. I was turning everything everyone had ever said about me into something worthwhile. AM, if I wasn't out there, something bad would have happened. And now I can't shake this feeling that I'm wasting not just my time, but someone else's. What if there's more corrupt heroes? Who is going to stop them? The chat box is quiet for a long while. And then, with no other messages, PM screen flickers to red. He's gone offline. Midoriya's first friend. He stares at the blank screen a moment longer before writing once again. I'm sorry I upset you. I shouldn't have said anything. Thank you for teaching me code and chatting with me about stupid stuff. It was fun. He's not sure what else to put down, so he leaves it at that and shuts the computer off. And goes for his closet. The disguise is something simple, something he can blend in with. A black hoodie, black cargo pants, and a few modifications to his shoes and backpack. He found a few pairs of old shoes in the trash a few days back. With a good pair of scissors, thread, and a bit of glue, he was able to take the rubber soles of those shoes and use them to create a dark design against the red of his own. It's not a permanent solution by any means, but it elongates the back of his shoe and changes his footprint pattern. No longer a size 8 but a size 10, with swirling pattern soles instead of crossing lines. And that's it. He had considered fixing up his school bag, but no cheap options were available. Is a yellow backpack really such an eyesore? He should be fine, probably. Midoriya adorns his face mask, tugs his hood over his head, and moves to the glass window of his bedroom. He took the screen out days ago in preparation, so it's easy to slowly push open the wooden paneling and slip out. His leg still hurts, but not nearly as bad as before. It makes it easy to drop to the neighbor's balcony from his own on the 3rd floor, then to carefully grip the drain pipe that connects to the 1st floor. One step at a time, slowly, a path he carefully curated in advance. A little planning ahead can go a long way in a world like this. He slips and falls the last few feet, thudding on the ground. Ow, okay, need to work on landing, or not falling. Both? Yeah, let's go with both. He's never snuck out before. It's exhilarating and also horrifying. No one knows what he's up to, least of all Mama. She'd lose her mind if she knew he was out and about this late at night. Even on days he runs to the city to make some cash, he's never out this late. He doesn't even know what to do with himself. This is the cool teenager stuff he was missing out on. Sneaking out at night, getting into fights, talking to your crush who hates you, losing your only friend within just a few weeks of having them. His mood sours pretty quickly. The elation wears off, but the gnawing sensation festers like a disease. He's done his research this time. Muzutafu, his town, is decently small. The surrounding towns are much bigger, creating a radius around the district that is patrolled typically by one pro. Despite its high crime rates, heroes aren't wasted on lowlifes and minor crimes. The police typically handle neighborhood issues, pros focus on big cities, and crime keeps on. But now, in the wake of Blue Earth's attack, 3 pros patrol the small radius of this section of Japan. It's separated on a grid scale and disaster level. Recovery heroes are stationed and rotated in when a building falls or a fire breaks out. Patrolling heroes are always out on shifts, following rewritten routes to get from one place to another before swapping out. Limelight heroes are typically those with flashy quirks who take on crime head-on or are called to scene, like All Might. But it's the underground that Midoriya needs to watch out for. Those who blend into the nightlife and city, often undercover or dirty. They often run patrols as well, but in a less public line of sight. They hang in the shadows, creep up and stalk. His goal for tonight is to locate an underground hero. 1, so he can stalk them as they stalk others, but in a less creepy way. If he can learn from them, then he'd be better off in the long run. 2, because underground heroes are cool as hell and completely anonymous. 3, because if he doesn't detect them first, then they'll locate him. This is so exciting, Midoriya mumbles, pushing down a street to his right. I feel like a ninja. Or maybe a vampire. A little bit like a criminal too. He ducks under a surveillance camera posted outside a store, careful to keep out of sight. I bet nobody else is doing their own specially designed patrol. As hard as pros may try, it's impossible to pin down possible criminal locations when you've never lived in a criminal hotspot. Midoriya has walked by some of the most despicable-looking places on his way to school, and not a single one has ever been investigated by a pro. Underground heroes get close to it, but the truth is, unless you are inside of the crueler parts of the world, it's nearly impossible to see them. So, he walks his own patrol route. It loops around the majority of the town, excludes more open and heavily populated streets. It winds through buildings, cuts through neighborhoods, hits hotspots known for drag selling or illegal quirk usage. He's not going to rat out kids for being stupid or blowing off steam. He's going to go after those who prey on them. The first hour is beyond boring. The glittery appeal of patrolling dwindles very quickly when you come across only street cats and litter. Though he did pick up all the litter and throw it away, and pet every cat. That's not the point. The point is, a lot of hero work is just waiting for something to happen. He stopped to trail a few drunk women home to ensure they made it safely, and unwed get a loose balloon from a tree to throw out, but that's about it. When his route is done, he's set to head home and call it a night. He might not have achieved his goal, but he managed to locate another pro on patrol and pet a few scraggly cats, so it was a success. His first ever patrol. Completed. Oh my god, you're All Might. He whips around so fast that his hood flies off. He has to secure it once again before taking off in the direction of whatever person was just talking. It's not hard to locate them, considering the volume they talk out, and Midoriya is in awe the second he rounds the corner. All Might. He's really here. Tall, muscly, brightly colored and smiling wide. Midoriya is cursing himself for not bringing his All Might memorabilia because he always brings it just in case he happens across All Might in this tiny town. The one time he didn't bring it, he pulls his hood to take it off, to talk to All Might, to ask him the dozens of questions. Is that how they sound? Did I get the pitch right? Midoriya's eyes almost fall out of his head from how wide they are. Beside All Might, hair slicked back and angled, is Present Mike. The Present Mike, side by side with the All Might, just hanging around this nothing town like it's a casual Wednesday night. What is this? Why are they here? Will they give him their autograph if he asks? Close enough to the whining frequency. A man Midoriya has never seen before says as he dangles from the roof of a building. He looks homeless, long black hair nearly covering his face completely. Yellow goggles around his throat, a thick scarf keeping him suspended in air. You've got your look around the town. Any conclusion you've drawn that all the rest of us have somehow missed? The man asks. All Might bellows out a laugh that seems to shake the city floor. It's only then that Midoriya can focus on where, exactly, they are. It wasn't a planned part of his official patrol route, as he'd been avoiding the scene for as long as possible, but it's undeniable. Rattling chain link, a lip on the roof above, blood spatter on the opposite wall. Blur. All Might is here to investigate an attempted murder scene. Midoriya's attempted murder scene. When he grabbed a spare brick and bashed a RPS's head in and miraculously got away. He doesn't stand a chance against All Might? Are you kidding? How's that even fair? That's like a level 100 million versus a level 2. It would be more unlikely for All Might not to pinpoint the exact culprit of this crime than it would be to find him. Run me through it again, Eraserhead. All Might jeers, hands on his hips. Eraserhead, Midoriya mumbles, eyes shifting again to the dangling man. Not just anyone can hang around All Might. Maybe he's Present Mick's friend? But that doesn't make sense. Why are 3 pro heroes, 2 world-renowned, investigating a 2-week-old crime scene? All Might doesn't solve murders, he fights crime. He's the #1 hero for his high villain capture count. Why is he here? Eraserhead lets out a sigh that can only be described as agonized. Scuff prints on the roof hint that the attacker came from above. His scarf juts out, anchoring him from one building to the next. He uses it to hoist himself up to the roof, planting his feet right at the edge. Abrasions on Bluer's shoulders and waist confirm that someone was on his back at some point. Eraser drops down from the roof, facing the same wall Bluer had. More scuffs on the ground indicate a struggle. Why was young Bluer in an alleyway 20 yards from his patrol route? All Might questions. Eraser gives him a blank look. Why don't you miraculously wake him from his coma and ask? Present Mike laughs before standing between them, a hand out to either of their chests. What else did we note, Aizawa? Aizawa. Midoriya slowly shimmies his backpack off, adjusting his position around a building corner. He pulls his notebook out from within, scribbling down names and locations. Eraserhead or Aizawa grumbles something before squatting to the ground. The attacker knew how to cover their tracks. Even the weapon, which we believe was some blunt and ridged object, was missing. Then he points 2 fingers along the ground in a straight line. But the attacker didn't account for the third person present. His heart drops to his feet. We recovered smaller shoe sizes, likely a woman's heel. Eraser stands again, then gestures to a brick-sized hole in the building exterior. A missing brick that the store owner claims wiggles loose all the time, but they always slot it into place. That's the weapon. All Might hums. So the story goes that our attacker was assaulting a woman, then Bluer tried to intervene? Not exactly, Present Mike says, voice echoing into the night. The brick was located near ground level, meaning that whoever wielded it was swinging from the ground up. CT and MRI confirm it, Aizawa adds. Plus, scratch marks on Bluer's arms, the angle of which the attacker jumped. All Might's tight smile tips down. You think the attacker was defending the woman? Eraser looks around again, glances up at the roof. Bluer had a few reports of SXL harassment at his pros agency. My guess is someone stopped letting the a-hole get away with it. So, I was right. All Might cheers, and Mike belts out a laugh at the scowl on Eraser's face. We came to the same conclusion, Eraser snaps at him. But I got there first, All Might says with a wink. Midoriya furrows his brows. His notebook is filled with mindless scribbles, his handwriting so messy it would be a miracle if he could even read it later. But this is valuable information, even if it's killing him not to run up to All Might and beg for an autograph. Strain on Bluer's legs wasn't significant, so our guess is a younger, lighter person, someone smart but unseasoned. Prints were wiped with disinfectant. The lab report says it's first aid grade stuff. They didn't come looking for a fight, Aizawa summarizes. And the cameras were wiped pretty late, hints at inexperience. All Might bellows out another laugh. Sounds like a future hero. Midoriya's heart warms in his chest. Nobody has ever said that about him before. Or a future criminal, Eraser argues. Whoever this was knew the cops wouldn't be on his side until weeks later, if at all. We're likely looking at someone with a record, or an aggressive history. Well, that's humbling. Midoriya tucks his notebook away as the two of them argue, Mike trying and failing to mediate. He's still unsure why All Might came to investigate this, let alone celebrate a horrific attack and almost murder. Though it does feel nice to have the world's #1 hero on his side. He debates for a moment whether or not he should take off his mask and hood and try to talk to the 3 of them. He could get their autographs, make copies and sell them for a huge profit. Or maybe he could finally look his most favorite heroes in the eyes and feel equal to them. Maybe he could ask All Might about that fight years ago, when he emerged from flames victorious after a hard battle, saving hundreds of lives as he went. It's been in Midoriya's head for years. His greatest dreams and worst nightmares had been born from that battle. All Might killed a supervillain, saved Japan. Midoriya can't shake the feeling that he needs to warn him. That the supervillain isn't actually dead. He's doing this. Most suspects return to the scene of the crime or aid in search parties and police work to throw off the trail. So long as he doesn't mention the attack, he should be okay, right? Midoriya peels off his hoodie and mask. His t-shirt that says, "T-shirt," was not his most formal attire, but he hadn't exactly been expecting this. He stuffs the clothes in the bag, slings it back over his shoulder. Flipping to a new page in his notebook, a fresh pen ready to be used, he steps out of his corner. Sheet. He stumbles back as a white cloud of smoke drifts from the alleyway. Did someone smoke out the scene? Maybe the pros need help. Quickly, he puts his hoodie back on. It's only when he snaps his mask into place that the smoke clears and reveals a really old dude. Maybe in his 50s? He looks truly awful and sickly. Mike whips a rag from his pocket, hands it to the old man wearing oversized All Might merchandise. The man presses it to his lips, dabs at the blood that's begun to pour from his mouth. What happened to All Might? Where did he go? Why did he leave some old guy here instead? I'm fine, I'm fine. The old man coughs up blood, hunched over himself. I just maintained form for too long. Because you're a performative idiot, Eraser snaps at him, but he reaches into his deep pockets and pulls loose a canister of water. Drink some water, All Might. What the F dash? All Might? The bony, wrinkly old man is the All Might? He can hardly stand. How is this All Might? Is it some sort of illusion? How is this? I was hoping you could lead me to my future successor tonight, Aizawa. All Might rasps, dabbing at his mouth with the cloth. The sooner I can pass on my knowledge, the better. Successor? Knowledge? In what world is All Might training a new prodigy? He's in his prime. How is this happening? How does nobody know? Who is in on this? How many people know All Might isn't really All Might? What's going on? Let's get out of here, Present Mike suggests. You never know who could be around. Getting out of here is a great idea. Midoriya turns around, stares down another alleyway. The city is an interconnecting web of alleys and backroads. If he didn't know better, he'd say it was designed for crime. It's a good getaway, quick and windy but still direct enough. He needs to get home, research all that he's learned, talk to no one. PM is gone. He doesn't let his discouragement stop his escape. He's got so much to think about. All Might wanted a new successor, came to the scene of a crime for it. Did All Might want him? His heart picks up, an undeniable smile forming on his face. It wouldn't matter if he's quirkless if All Might was the one training him. He'd get into UA for sure. If taking out bad guys is the way to get his attention, then Midoriya can do that. A little research and planning and he'd get exactly what he wants. A free ride to UA, All Might training him. He'd become a hero, he'd keep his promise. He'd do what needed to be done. Finish what All Might had nearly accomplished years ago. Midoriya trips over his shoelaces, slamming against a metal trash can. The lid goes flying, clattering yards away, and trash spills to the ground. A stray cat darts away, and the quiet murmur of heroes talking disappears immediately. He takes off running, staying low and as quiet as possible. It doesn't change the pursuit he's absolutely certain is coming his way. Only issue with pros, they're good at their job. Years of rigorous training and education don't fall short on them. So Midoriya creeps while still maintaining speed, slicking his body with the shadows of the town. He knows where the lights are, cameras, dead ends and forks. His only advantage here is that he knows this place better than anyone. A strange, clicking noise comes from his left. It takes a moment to recognize it, but once he does, he's moving away. Echolocation. In a place so quiet but narrow, Mick's quirk can still excel. It'll pick up on open air, crash when colliding with his body. Any random criminal would have no idea what it was, but Midoriya's been studying heroes since he was kid. He knows this trick. With All Might likely out of commission, it leaves a well-studied Present Mike and a wild card Eraserhead. So what's his move? What does a hero do when they've got no clear exit and are being pinned down? They go up. He dashes to the next alley, barely missing a pursuing clique. There should be a storm pipe here somewhere. There it is. Midoriya grasps it, wearing a pair of rubber gloves he found in the kitchen, and begins the climb. The notches again help him up, allowing his weight to be held on a sleek lip. Adrenaline courses through him, a crutch for his tired arms. He peeks his head over the edge. Eraserhead is up here, peering over the opposite ledge. The man scans the alleyways, his yellow goggles now adorning his face. Just a few feet away from Midoriya. One hand holds the pipe, the other slowly reaches into his backpack. He's as quiet as possible as he withdraws a loose pencil and chucks it as far to his left as hard as he can. It clatters on the street next to him. Midoriya hugs the pipe, blends into the wall best he can as Eraser shoots up and jumps from one roof to the next with a practiced ease. Mike comes clicking from the opposite direction. With a now empty roof at an elevated position, Midoriya climbs up and out of sight. He doesn't waste a single moment or breath on relief. Instead, he slowly creeps to the opposite edge and jumps to the next roof over. For a moment, the open air greets him, his stomach flips and whirls, and then he lands with a roll. "That was so cool," he mumbles to himself, pumping his fist into the air. He sobers the next moment as the building he needs to jump to is far higher than the last. He can't make that, not unless his refined eyes scan over the brick. This is an apartment building, which means windowsills are his best bet. No balcony indicates a sturdier infrastructure surrounding the frame, so the concrete slabs should be fine to hold his weight. This late at night, most people inside will be asleep, giving him a clean shot to jump, land, and hoist himself up. Okay, he can do this, he can do this. He jumps, lands, and careens backwards into the gaping alleyway below. Hands reaching out, he just barely secures the upper ledge of the building. His heart hammers wildly, his legs numb and shaking. Still, he pulls himself up to the roof. "Up top!" Mike shouts. But so much for stealth. Midoriya glances over his shoulder long enough to see Eraserhead swing up from a neighboring alleyway. His hair floats wildly, goggles keeping his eyes hidden. He honestly looks really f***ing cool. Midoriya would sketch him or theorize how the hell that scarf seems to work as their own appendages, but he's too busy running for his life. He takes off, jumps to another roof that's level with his current one. Blood pumps through his veins, night air whips at him. He feels alive, awake, better than he has in years. Another roof, another turn, Eraser giving chase. Multiple times, that scarf reaches for Midoriya but falls just a bit short or just a bit too left or right. A perk of being as unpredictable as he is that nobody knows what the hell he's going to do next, not even him. Another jump, and this time, when he looks down, All Might's fragile body is at the bottom. The man looks up at him, bloody rag to his mouth, blue eyes wide as Midoriya soars above. Then Midoriya is gone, flinging himself to the next roof. This one is an abandoned building, and if he remembers correctly, there's a trapdoor up here that leads to the confined insides. He finds it pretty quickly, flips it up, and stares down the metal prongs of the ladder. He's not too sure what this building used to be. He and Mama had crashed here a few times after Auntie kicked them out, but he hasn't been inside since Mama landed a good job in the apartment. He'd nearly forgotten those nights. Mama's sacrificed a lot for him. It's his turn to pay her back. He starts descending, flipping the hatch lid as he goes. It's got a small sliding lock that keeps it pinned shut, and not a moment too late. The lid is tugged at, rattling loudly, but holds true. Midoriya drops the rest of the way down, landing on the rickety third floor. Scaffolding holds up the floor below him, and concrete greets the bottom of it all. All doors and windows are boarded up as a way to deter the homeless, and shockingly, it's worked to keep them out. With winter ending soon, he's not surprised that it's so empty. He drops down to the ground level. This place has a basement that exits to another chain-linked alleyway. He's only gone down there a few times as a kid, but it's nice to see it still remains covered with large pieces of scrap wood and metal rebar. It's easy to lift the large piece of wood holding it all up, slip underneath, and drop into the dark basement. A couple of minutes of stumbling in the dark, he finds a small set of stairs leading to a heavy door. He pushes it open and emerges in the night once again. It takes another 20 or so minutes to get home and scale the drain pipes and balconies. But when he finally slides open his window and plops into bed, he feels, for the first time ever, utterly fulfilled. Now, who exactly is Eraserhead? Now high knees, jump with your legs tucked up to your chest. We want at least a 90-degree angle. Midoriya copies the instructional video, jumping up and onto the edge of his desk from a resting position. He's landed it a few times now and the strain feels beyond good. Landing with our arms out for balance, this can be adjusted with a bit more practice. Who'd have thought parkour was something you could be taught over the internet for free? Well, not completely. He's coded his own program that runs through a stolen Patreon account to access these classes online. He's not sure whose account he's been logged into for a few weeks now, but they don't seem to mind. Now, a quick break for water, and we'll pick back up with flexibility stretches. He grabs his water, chugs enough to sustain himself, before rolling into the stretches set up. They've done wonderful things for his screwy leg. Let's start with our calves, find the nearest wall, and place your toes on it. Then we want to lean against the wall. Izuku, there's a call for you. 1 minute. His legs burn with the stretch, but he pushes anyway. Izuku. Hold on. He alternates feet, stretches, then pauses the video. Things had been happening quickly since the initial run-in with the pros. All Might announced his presence the following day. Bluer awoke from his coma with a gaping hole of memory that saved Midoriya's butt, and a description of his assailant was released to the press. Midoriya saw the words, shoe size 10, and has been on cloud 9 since. His ploy worked, and his costume kept him hidden. A general height was working out closer to his true one, but the shoe size throws the prediction off plenty. Mixed with the lack of facial or print confirmation, he's golden. He's been going out every night, keeping a much lower profile than before and avoiding any and all trash cans. During the day, he goes to school, finishes homework, studies, practices coding through more stolen lessons, and occasionally rides to Tokyo to make some extra cash. But at night? The night is where he really comes alive. He hasn't seen much activity at all, but the stray cats have been enjoying the stolen cans of cat food he leaves out for them. He practices jumping between buildings, climbing up windowsills, scaling fences, and locating little nooks and crannies to hide out in. He's begun to expand his horizons, venturing to new towns and cities, mapping them in his notebook. He takes inventory of street lights, of surveillance cameras, of easily liftable sewer drains and grid systems. He lives for it. When it's dark out, and the moon keeps his company, he doesn't feel so different than everyone else. He doesn't think about quirks or UA or Kaken. He thinks about where he's going to go next, what he's going to do, what the best possible route is to each new location. He loves it. Yes, he's coming right now, Mama says, smiling so wide as she talks into the phone. No, thank you for calling, it's so nice to hear your voice. You're so grown up. Midoriya gives her a curious look. She holds the phone to her chest and mouths, Katsuki. He shakes his head back and forth, eyes wide, and Mama purses her lips before lifting the phone back up. I'm sorry, Katsuki, Izuku is He makes a cutting motion along his throat to urge her to hang up. Mama says, he's dead? No, he whisper shouts. No, he's not dead, He folds his hands by his head, shuts his eyes. Asleep. Yes, he's so sleepy. Did you know he was the cutest little baby when he slept? Snot bubbles coming out his nose and he unplugs the phone. Why would you say that to Kaken? I panicked, she cries, covering her face with her hands. He's just such a sweetheart, I felt so bad lying to him. Really, Midoriya says flatly, I'm sure he was charming as ever. Mama nods. Oh, I can't believe he let me sit and ramble for so long. I lost track of time. I need to finish up dinner. You started an hour ago, Mama. What could you possibly say to him for so long? Midoriya groans. Mama turns beet red, hides her face once again. I wasn't expecting him to call, so I asked about school and he told me it was great and that he was planning to go to UA, and he kept calling Mrs. Midoriya, so I told him he could just call me Inko or Auntie, and that Mrs. Midoriya makes me feel like an old lady, and he apologized, but he kept calling me it by accident, and I just had to tell him how much it reminded me of how lovely he was as a little boy and how you were so lucky to have him as a friend. She continues rambling. There's no DNA test needed to conclude that she's his mom with how much she mutters and talks about Kaken with stars in her eyes. The admiration must be genetic. Mama. Midoriya pinches his brow. No more harassing Kaken. He called me first, she argues. And he cooks, did you know he cooks? He said he'd cook me some katsudon one day and send it home with you. Mama. Midoriya snaps her out of it. As much as he loves the wonderful image of Kaken being nice to his mom and cooking for her, he knows the reality is far from it. Did he say what he wanted? Mama pauses, presses a finger to her lips. I'm not sure. Midoriya groans and turns back to his room. Oh, now I remember. Probably wants to know how I managed to get out of a swirly yesterday, he mutters. He said he heard that All Might visited our town. He wanted to know if you knew anything. Mama clasps her hands together by her face. He's so considerate. He remembers how much you love All Might. But alarm bells are ringing in his head. All Might must have just announced his presence in their town if Kaken heard about it. But when Midoriya slumps back into his computer chair, he sees that there's nothing on All Might's whereabouts at all. Why would Kaken call and lie? Or, better yet, what if Kaken wasn't lying and really did hear that All Might was in town? Maybe his friends told him they're a bit more connected to the bad parts of the population than Kaken likes to admit. But why ask Midoriya about it? He told Kaken nearly a month ago that All Might was here. Why wait until now to ask about it? He once again finds himself wishing that Kaken's mind wasn't such a mystery. Finding nothing on the internet about All Might dwindles his spirit almost as much as the lack of information on Eraserhead. Days of research, dozens of websites and chat forums, and Eraserhead remains unheard of. Not even a whisper of his presence, let alone a picture or something. Midoriya has sketched him out in all his glory in his notebook, pulling from memory alone to rebuild the man's appearance. He even searched through Present Mic's digital footprint and came up with nothing about his friend. Except for that scarf. It's a support item that pros with less flashy quirks typically use. Wearing it connects its electromagnetic sensors to a person's brainwaves, allowing a single thought to move the cloth like a pair of arms. It takes a lot of mental strength, not to mention practice, to understand the material. It's inflammable, malleable, strong enough to lift multiple people at once, but breathable enough to wrap around your face and have no issues whatsoever. When Midoriya makes it into you, he wants one of those. The longer he thinks about Yue, the more his mind drifts back to All Might. He hasn't dared to look into him yet, too afraid that his image of a strong-willed hero would shatter. But if Kaken is sniffing around, there's probably a good reason why. Maybe All Might is interviewing successors? Kaken would make a wonderful choice. Even it sends such a visceral pang of jealousy through Midoriya that he has to shut his eyes and calm down for a moment. If Kaken is getting a fair and honest shot at All Might, then Midoriya should too. He's worked just as hard for a chance at being something greater than himself. Any way to pull head, he's got to take it. The search begins with Channel 9 News. These producers are infamous for always making it too late to a scene, typically reporting on facts and details provided after an attack rather than during. Midoriya goes through 3 All Might fight aftermath coverings before he finally lands on one from 4 years ago. The reporter talks about the way All Might saved cars from falling off a broken bridge, and as he goes, a thin and bony man can be seen in the background. He exits from a building, disappears into a crowd of people, and nobody bats an eye. Genius, Midoriya mutters. He gets away from the scene by making himself practically invisible. A macro celebrity who will never be recognized in public without XPLCT intent. He's essentially created an alter ego, hiding his name and true identity behind muscles and strength. So who is he? It takes a long while to find anything. When an article does come up, it's been buried under years of All Might slop. But it catches Midoriya's eye, dated over 20 years ago. All Might, the next big pro, according to Nana. He clicks the link, and the article opens to a beautiful woman with long, black hair. It's pinned out of her face elegantly, giving way to dark eyes and a carefree smile. He recognizes her instantly. Nana Shimura, ranked as the number 8 hero worldwide before. Midoriya's eyes blow wide. She was killed years ago, though her death was never confirmed outright. The article must have been released sometime after she passed, then buried for its harsh handling of her death. But it's written clear as day. All Might and I have been working together for some time now, Nana claims. Now that he's 18, I truly believe he'll make a wonderful impact on the hero world. She talks about his success story, how her predecessor trained her, and how she passed on her knowledge. It's something All Might had said as well. He needs a successor soon to pass his knowledge on to. Perhaps there's some kind of secret code, Some kind of bizarre training technique that gives success? He leaves that article, types, Nana Shimura predecessor. No results found. That's weird. Who trained Nana Shimura? No results found. Nana Shimura training All Might. No results found. Even the website he came across by pure chance has no connection to the code words he's typed. But what? How is that even possible? Google's coding uses an AI to scan text and pull repetitive words from articles to formulate an accurate search result. So, by all accounts, the article he found should be popping up. Unless someone tried to bury it. He goes back to the original website. The article wasn't even officially published by its source, just a fake URL that seems accurate at first glance. Why go through this trouble? Why post an article that was nearly wiped off the internet? He scans through it again, all the text containing the full interview, and that's it. It briefly mentions her life as a mom and grandmother, and nothing more than that. Then, tabbed at the bottom, is her cause of death. He scans it again, reads about her insistence that All Might would be the next best thing. The text at the bottom. Read it again. Next best thing. Text at the bottom. Text at the bottom. Nana Shimura was killed in battle against All for One. All for One. A few clicks and he's back at that video of All Might emerging from flames, carrying innocent bystanders on either shoulder. Claiming no one needs to be afraid now that he's here. Claiming everything is all right now that he's stopped the evil. All for One. He types that into the search. But only All Might articles comes up, and the name of his quirk, which he's called One for All. A direct opposite. But All Might couldn't have known that Nana would die days after his 18th birthday to his arch-nemesis. He couldn't have known that All for One even called himself that, not unless he told him himself. Nobody knows what that name truly even means. Nobody except Midoriya. He rummages around under his bed. It's where all his dirty clothes go when Mama insists he needs to clean his room. It's where a bloody brick lies in a paper bag. And it's where a silver watch sits in a small wooden box. He pulls it free from his spot in the corner. Despite his habit of pawning jewelry, he couldn't bring himself to get rid of his father's watch. He supposes it comes in handy now. Midoriya flips it over, reads the name and message engraved in the metal banding. For my brother, Yoichi Shigaraki. The only gift I can give you is time, use it wisely. His dad's name is Zen, and the last thing he did was give gifts. Midoriya strokes the words with a fingernail before going back to the computer. He types in Yoichi's name and is shocked to see only one result. He clicks it, and the entire screen goes black. His computer hums and screams, and Midoriya has to shut it off before it explodes. Still, steam rises from its insides, and he cusses as he shoves the bedroom window open. Okay, different approach. The Mama? She's on the couch, scarfing down some plain noodles. When she sees him, she smiles wide and sets the bowl down to grab the remote and pause her show. It's almost unfair that she's so kind, so sweet, given how much of a monster his dad was. Can I ask you something? Sure, baby. She folds her hands in her lap. What is it? Midoriya shifts his weight on his feet. Did Dad have a brother? Mama stares at him for a long time, her lips slightly parted. Yes, he had a twin, I believe. Midoriya nods slowly. What happened to him? Mama blows out a breath of air. She tucks a stand of hair behind her ear, sits up on the couch. When she pats the cushion beside her, Midoriya takes it. He feels awful. She got off work early today and planned to relax, and here he is, asking about Dad. He's a taboo topic around here. Your dad is old, she confesses, staring off at the frozen TV. Older than most people should be. So his brother died of old age? Midoriya asks. Mama nods. For his sake, I hope so. Why? Mama grabs his hands, squeezes them. Zen is cruel, manipulative. I can't imagine growing up with someone with so much power. It was hard for me, and we had only been together a few years. Because he was abusive? Midoriya asks. Yes, Mama says softly. And addictive. He used to. It's kind of embarrassing. What is it? Midoriya asks. Mama turns to him, her work uniform still tight to her skin. He used to give me things, then take them away. It's how I fell for him in the first place. He seemed charming, clever, and claimed he was going to change the world with his quirk. What would he give you? Anything I asked for, Mama says slowly. Super speed, fire control, mind reading. And whenever I made him upset, he'd take my quirk away for as long as he deemed fit. The blood drains from his face. He could give quirks? I thought. Oh, he could, Mama laughs sadly. He and his brother lost contact for a bit when he gave him 1 year ago. When he found him again, his brother had already given it away. Quirks, away. I need to pass on my knowledge. Holy f***. You'd be surprised what people tell you when they're half awake. I used to slip sleeping meds into his meals so he'd tell me more. I guess I was hoping I could use it to get us free of him one day. Her face is beet red as she says it, as though she's ashamed that she's a badass. Who knew all it took was my 4-year-old begging me to just leave? I kept pushing it off and waiting for the right chance to get out of that house, but maybe I had never stopped hoping he'd turn back into that man I fell in love with. Midoriya frowns, pulling her into a hug. Kind of pathetic, I know, Mama sobs. I thought I was over all this, but he scares me still, Izuku. I keep thinking he's going to find us after everything we did to survive. He won't, Midoriya says sure. I promise. He'll make sure of it just as he's always intended to. But with this new information about All Might, plans have changed. He had planned to kill his dad slowly, horrifically, quirkless and angry. Unrecognizable until his own cruelty bled through, an unfortunate genetic trait. He's never killed before, but he knew, since the moment he reached for those keys by the crack of the closet door, All for One was going to die. And he'd be the one to do it. But now things have changed. No more guesswork to get into hero school. No more written letters, begging the school board to lift their quirkless ban. Now, Midoriya Izuku has a clear path to becoming a hero who doesn't do what is right, but what is necessary. He needs All Might's quirk. And he's going to get it. He made a promise 10 years ago that no one would hurt his mama again. He's planning to keep it. So as Mama cries, he strokes her hair and plans. Nights spent sleeping in an abandoned building. Years of being bullied in school. Changing his hair and eyes and ears permanently. Rejected from jobs, from society. The second he has a quirk, that all goes away. And he knows exactly how to get it. These applications will be handed out to future high schools. Try and pick based on the job field you want to go into. Midoriya scribbles in his notebook as the teacher passes out sheets of paper. I know you all think your quirks are something special, but let's be realistic, we can't all be heroes. There's joking and laughing, friend groups throwing quips at one another. Midoriya never really understood that. He's always stood on the outside of social circles like these, never quite managing to blend in. A few new kids had given him a chance, but the moment they realized he was quirkless, they stopped giving him the time of day. It was better to be alone than it was to interact with someone like him. He remembers how hard it was when he was younger. He couldn't understand what was so wrong about him. He did everything he could to try and appeal to his peers and fell short every time. It was worse when the kids themselves didn't hate him, but while the parents did. Every time a kid turned him away, they never really understood why. As they aged, it solidified, and they began to hate him on their own. But there was a time when Midoriya was just another kid on the playground. If he's honest, though, he's never really fit in. He's always too much or too little. Too excited about one thing and not excited about another. He couldn't understand references or master surface-level conversations. His only friend had been Kaken, and he knew that, had they not been practically forced together, then Kaken never would have wasted his time. PM was there for a bit too, and Midoriya has read their conversations a dozen times and still can't figure out where he went wrong with it all. He thinks maybe he was too much, maybe he should have kept his mouth shut about his nightly habits. Or maybe he was too quiet, maybe he should have lied about an amazing, wonderful quirk that he didn't have. He's not sure. He never really has been. He keeps his head down, skin crawling every time eyes glaze over him. He's not very outspoken about his plan to get into UA, not even Kaken knows. If there were a way to request admission dates that wasn't through his school, he'd do it, but since there isn't, he's forced to write it on the sheets handed out. His next few choices for high school were picked only because they had high acceptance rates and wouldn't think twice about him being in their program until it was too late. But UA is his top pick, and soon, it'll be his reality. He turns the sheet in, gets tripped on the way back to his seat, but it's fine, he's fine. He keeps his head down, keeps a low profile. He only looks up once to see Kaken glaring at him, the rage unfurling from his body in waves. He looks away quickly. Hey, Bakugu, you're going to UA, right? No sheet, Bakugu says, leaning back in his seat and pointing a thumb at himself. I aced all the mock tests. I'm the only one at this school who stands a chance at getting in. The teacher shuffles the papers around, reads each sheet carefully. I'll end up more popular than All Might himself. Midoriya keeps his head down, listening to the tirade and counting down the minutes until the bell rings. And be the richest hero of all time. A few cheers, more papers shuffling. People from all across the world will know who I am. And it all starts with UA High. Kaken shouts, hands splayed and ready to blow. Oh yeah, Midoriya, don't you want to go to UA too? The teacher asks carelessly. He freezes, slowly looking up from his seat. The room has gone quiet, students swiveling to turn and look at him. His face burns, nerves jitter along his skin. Then the laughing starts. A few pencils are thrown at his head, paper wads too. His legs shake with the sound of it. On the outside of an inside joke, he looks down at the desk again. Midoriya? You're kidding, right? There's no way you're getting into the hero course without a quirk. He stands up, trembling in all limbs. They got rid of that rule. IC could be the first one. An explosion sends him flying from his seat. His chair is lost somewhere across the classroom, his desk taking the brunt of the flame. He's quick to back up, back pressed to the wall, but Kaken is quicker. Listen up, Deku. He hovers over him, eyes wide and hard, his hand angled to blow at any second. You're even worse than the rest of these demon rejects, you quirkless wannabe. Kaken, you really think they'd let someone like you in when they could have me? No, you've got it all wrong. Do I? I'm not trying to compete against you. You gotta believe me. Kaken tilts his head, unnaturally still as he stares down at him. His eyes flash to Midoriya's collar, and when he sees small yellow traces of the bruises that have yet to disappear, smoke drifts off his palm. It's just that. I've wanted to be a hero since I was little. I may not have a quirk, but I can still try my hardest, can't I? He stares up at Kaken, his face still warm. Can't I? You'll never be anything, Kaken spits at him. You'll die in the entrance exam. Defenseless. Worthless. This school is already shitty, you really want to embarrass it more by failing in its name. Sit back down, please. I did have a lecture planned for today. The teacher finally intervenes, though he doesn't seem too bothered by all this. That means you, Bakugu. Kaken does. Slowly, with another added glare, he sits back in his chair. Midoriya gets up too, locates his own chair, and drags it back to its place. His desk has a large, ugly black mark from where Kaken touched it. He stares at it blankly, his entire body weighed down. He needs to get into UA. He needs to prove Kaken wrong. He will. He knows he will. It's everything he's ever wanted. He can't have gone 14 years wishing for a miracle just to never receive one. He's going to be something. He's not going to rot in a molding house with no one to remember him by. He's not going to call this his peak, he's not going to give up. Tears prick his eyes, and he keeps his head low to hide them. He thinks about Rin, about how even the mighty can fall. He wishes he were anyone else. When the bell rings, he's slow to pack up. Piece by piece, he packs his bag. Notebook, folder, pencil. He's heavy yet empty at the same time. Rent is due soon, he needs to head to Tokyo to help out. He doesn't have time to sulk. Kaken is waiting at the door with two of his lackeys. You know. Midoriya looks away, stares out the window. One tug on his backpack and an a-hole has his notebook. He tries to take it back, but they toss it to Kaken. He takes one quick look through it before tossing it between his hands, lighting it up with explosions. Stop! Midoriya pleads, and when he reaches for it, Kaken tosses it out the open window. He doesn't think he'll make it to Tokyo today. Maybe not even a patrol tonight. He's lost a lot of data in that notebook and he doesn't want to deal with this anymore. He doesn't want to keep coming to school just to leave with less than he came in with. He just wants to go home. If you really want to be a pro, there might be another way, Kaken says, that same sheet-eating grin on his face. It feels dull, fake, so Midoriya looks back at the window. It's a clear day today, the first in months. He thinks of the clear days he used to have with Kaken when they were kids. They'd go to the river and play, or Mama and Auntie would take them to the mall to buy All Might cards. Or they'd stay up late at night and try to count the number of stars in the sky until they fell asleep on top of each other. Just pray for a quirk in your next life. Kaken slides the door open and take a swan dive off the roof of the building. He goes numb. Cold. When he turns to face Kaken, he's greeted with a small explosion and a nasty glare. That's not right, that's not the Kaken he knows. Kaken is mean and abrasive, but he would never go this far. Or maybe Midoriya had fooled himself into thinking Kaken was something he's not. Smart, clever, strong, but certainly not a hero. Not when he looks like that. Not when he says such horrible things. Not when he dedicates his privileged, lucky life to making someone else's life harder. What the hell did Midoriya ever do wrong anyway? He told Kaken a secret before hatred was ever instilled in him, so why did Kaken share it? What the hell did he gain from someone else's loss? His blood pumps and he opens his mouth to yell, to shout, to say something. Something wrong? Kaken asks, eager for a fight. A lot is wrong. Midoriya is quirkless. All Might is a sham. A notorious supervillain is his father. Some pros are corrupt. He almost killed a man. He did. Midoriya. Not Kaken, not All Might. Midoriya saved that woman, and Kaken doesn't get to take that victory away from him. He's already taken everything else. From this moment forward, he won't waste his time holding out for a dream that will never come true. Kaken doesn't care for him, he likely never has, and so he's not worth Midoriya's time of day. It's an odd sort of feeling to detach. He feels the hand he's once extended begin run cold, turn blue, then freeze right off the limb. He stays quiet, and Kaken spits at his feet before leaving. Only when he's gone does Midoriya peer out the window and spot where his notebook landed. He's down at the koi pond pretty quickly, pulling the notebook from the water with a shake. If he dries it right, it won't be totally ruined. He can't really afford a new one right now. Stupid Kaken, he mumbles, shaking his head. What would you do if I really jumped? Nothing. Nobody would. And for a moment, disappearing into an eternal bliss sounds nice. It would feel precisely like it does when he jumps across gaps between buildings. Freeing, open air. Something he chooses to do of his own volition, no longer a choice for someone else to make. What would it be like? He could let someone else take out All for One, could let his mama succeed in a job that doesn't underpay her, with a best friend who is no longer disgusted by her. He could do more for his mama if he were dead than he ever could if he were alive. Without thinking, he climbs a flight of stairs. Then another. Then another. And the roof door hardly weighs a thing. There are no fences guarding the ledge. There are no students around. Just him and the open air. And the ground. It wouldn't even hurt. If he jumped right, he'd feel nothing at all. There'd be no put-together body for Mama to bury, so there'd be no funeral. She'd mourn alone, but maybe that's for the best. She's young, she could have more kids, a family like she's always wanted. And they all have some special quirks that she'd be proud to see passed down. She could be something if Midoriya becomes nothing. His promise feels feeble compared to that. He won't have to protect if he never flies into his father's radar. She could live long and free, with a new identity and a new family. And he wouldn't hurt anymore. He'd take All Might's secret to the grave, and the kids at school would get what they wanted. He'd be free. Midoriya looks over the ledge. He bends over, unties his shoe. No note would be better, then Mama wouldn't have anything to dwell on. Deku. He jolts, nearly teetering off the edge. Whipping around, he sees Kaken at the roof door. He's panting, shaking, and Midoriya comes to the conclusion that he must have run here. But your mom called me. She wants you home now. Midoriya blinks, furrows his brows. What? Go home, Kaken demands. Your mom called, she wants to see you. Midoriya swallows. I wasn't going to jump. I know, Kaken says, but he doesn't take his eyes off him. I left a pencil up here. I didn't come for you. Oh. Midoriya rolls his shoulders. Right, I hope you find your pencil. Yeah. But Kaken doesn't search for it. He waits at the door. Are you going? Midoriya scratches his head, his opposite hand drumming his fingers on his damp notebook. He looks at the bright sky behind him, then turns back to Kaken. He bends down, ties up his shoe again, and moves to pass him. Kaken says nothing, doesn't even look at him. He doesn't say anything either. When he's back on the ground, he stares up at the roof. He swears, for a moment, Kaken is still up there, peering down at him. But he blinks, and the sight is gone. Maybe it's a sign or something that Kaken lost his pencil, accidentally keeping him alive. Works out in his mama's favor, he guesses. Though it's weird that she's off work early and called Kaken to let him know. She's been so happy since their last call, so it's not far off that she'd reach out again to check for the food he allegedly promised her. Weird. Midoriya keeps going down the road, kicking rocks in his path. He's never come that close to it before. It's crossed his mind a few times, but he hasn't ever given it that much effort before. He's thought about it, often dreamed of it, but he's never, God, he's an idiot. Mama would be devastated. She got stuck with him, but it would be impossible to say she doesn't love him. It would ruin her if he died. And Dad could hear about the report, locate her, and kill her. He would have doomed her all because of stupid Kaken. Stupid, stupid, he mumbles, kicking another rock. He stops in front of a building with TVs in the window. People have gathered around, hands over their mouths. But it's their murmurs that drew him in. On screen is footage of what looks like sludge, gray and green and purple, flying through the streets and knocking down everything in its path. Hot on its heels is no other than All Might. Here, just a few blocks from where Midoriya stands now. The chase is live, ongoing. This is his chance. He pushes in front of people to get a better look. The camera pans down a few different streets, even pulling from a helicopter up above that's filming as well. Midoriya recognizes a nearby store, a piece of graffiti that looks familiar, a shopping bag that hints at the villain's location. He's heading west, so Midoriya is too. He turns instantly, begins his run down the street at full speed. The villain was moving at a high speed. He's not quick. Enough to outrun All Might, but his liquid texture and fluid movements must work to his advantage. Midoriya likely can't beat him to his next location, so he needs to think like him. If he were a villain, where would he hide? The abandoned building crosses his mind. But it's too on the nose, too conspicuous. A villain made of liquid would want to hide somewhere he can blend in, and somewhere he can easily escape from. The sewers. Most manhole covers are solid, but he happens to know the location of a graded one with a perfect tunnel system. It was his backup hiding place in case a pro decided to chase him down again, but that just makes it the most ideal place for a villain to think of. He changes direction, sprinting towards a smaller part of town. Any quirk that can change the build of a person has been Midoriya's favorite. It's beyond interesting to watch. Sadly, they aren't very accepted by the world, but it doesn't change how amazing he thinks they are. How cool is it that a physical form can be altered so significantly by just one strand of DNA? When Midoriya makes it to the sewer grate, it's quiet outside. Most people ran and hid indoors or tried to flee the path of the villain. It leaves the surrounding area deserted. A helicopter flies aimlessly ahead, searching the floor below, and Midoriya takes the chance to duck under a small overpass. The bridge covers him from view, the sewer grate glaring at him from the opposite end. Literally. Eyes peer at him from the metal before sludge pools out of its opening. Midoriya watches, utterly enamored by the blending and bending of the quirk. He should run, he knows he should, but All Might always stays to make sure the victims of an attack are okay. And Midoriya wants that FING quirk. So he's going to get it. The smudge expands, opens its jaws. Midoriya stands completely still and welcomes it. Pressure hits him hard, slick liquid moving along his body. His arms are seized, legs flailing as the blob picks him off the ground. He screams in pain when it shoves itself into his nose, but it only uses the opening to push into his mouth, down his throat. He just chokes and the sludge keeps moving. He swears he hears a small apology, but it doesn't stop the torment. Oxygen zips out of his chest, pressure builds behind his eyes. He feels like he might pop. Spots spatter his vision, his blood pumps and his heart beats so loud that he can feel it in his head. It hurts. He aches, he seizes, his mind is claimed by memories of Bluer pinning him down and strangling him. Come on All Might, come on All Might. Black dots melt away his vision, muffled nothingness fills his ears. His heart skips and aches, his arms go limp. I am here. He passes out. Slight pain stings his cheek. Like an annoying mosquito, an incessant pest swats at his face. It takes Midoriya a minute to open his eyes. When he does, the world is blurry and bright. He blinks a few times, stares up at the masculine face hovering over him. Thought we lost you there. Midoriya blinks at All Might before screaming and backing away. All Might. All Might. His plan worked. All Might just saved his life. Well, looks like you're moving around all right. He smiles wide, waves a hand. Sorry about that back there. I'm usually better at keeping bystanders out of the line of fire, but you appeared out of thin air. Ha ha ha. Midoriya stares at him, slack-jawed. Thank you for your help. I never would have caught the villain without you. All Might holds up a soda bottle filled with sludge. What once was a large, intimidating villain is now a colorful liquid trapped in litter. The real All Might is standing in front of him. Amazing, world-shaking All Might. He's got to get an autograph. Midoriya grabs his notebook, opens it to the end. All Might has already signed it. He nearly faints but manages to move his body into a deep bow instead. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All Might gives him a thumbs up before dropping into a squat. He stretches his legs out, cracks his knuckles. Well, I've got to get this evil doer to the police. Stay out of trouble. Midoriya's good mood suddenly drops. Leaving? So soon? I'm a busy man, what can I say? All Might bends, readies to take off. But he hasn't even asked him his questions yet. He hasn't warned him about All for One. He hasn't gotten the conversation he's only dared to dream of. All Might can't leave yet. But the hero pushes off the ground, launches into air. And Midoriya grabs onto his large pockets, his arms screaming at him with the sudden force of being thrown hundreds of feet into the air. He holds the cloth tight, fingernails scraping against the plastic bottles and the wallet laying within. Mid-flight, a bottle slips loose, and Midoriya just barely pushes it back into place. That would have been awful if it had wiggled loose. All Might hums to himself before looking down at the ground below. When he sees Midoriya's hands, he stares for a moment. Midoriya is certain All Might yells something at him, but the wind pressure is too strong. He just holds on tight, feeling infinitely more secure when All Might lays a large hand on his backpack to keep him in place. His eyes ache, and he'd shut them if it didn't mean missing a single moment of All Might. He's touching the All Might, smelling the cologne of the All Might. Mama won't even begin to believe it. He looks up at him, and watches as All Might coughs into his hand, a string of blood trailing down his fingers. He looks away before All Might notices. When they finally land on the roof, his hair is wind-whipped, his lips are chapped, and he's fairly certain he will fall over if he tries to stand up. Jumping roofs is one thing, soaring through the air at an uncontrollable speed with zero safety gear is another. He dry heaves, blinking the dryness from his eyes. Not smart, kid, All Might says, patting his pockets. Now I must leave promptly. Wait. No. I have no more time. Please. I need to know. You're nothing. You'll always be quirkless. Take a swan dive off the roof. Sometimes it's best to know when to give up. Can I still become a hero even if I don't have a quirk? All Might stills on the edge of the balcony. I'm a normal kid without any powers. Is there any hope I could ever be like you? He stares down at his red shoes, quirkless branded. I want to be a hero who does what others can't. I want to save the world. When he looks back up, All Might has deflated. They look at each other for a moment, and then Midoriya remembers he's not supposed to know All Might looks like this naturally. Oh, Deku, he mumbles. All Might narrows his eyes. You can't ever tell anyone about my true form. Midoriya nods, and watches as All Might slumps down to the ground. What happened to you? All Might doesn't smile. He doesn't even sound happy. He lets out a long breath, dabs up his bloody mouth with his gray shirt, and levels Midoriya with an exhausted look. He's truly tired, body sagging with a weight no one else can see. He lifts his shirt, reveals a gnarly injury in his side. Years ago, I was injured by a villain. He took nearly my entire stomach with one blow. Midoriya remembers that fight. He'd rewatched the grainy footage 1,000 times over. I can only maintain my form for 3 hours a day. All Might rests the back of his head on the roof railing. I lost a lot. I'm sorry, Midoriya says softly, head down. I can't imagine. No, you can't. All Might uses the rail to stand. Midoriya offers help, but the hero just shakes his head. Pros risk their lives every single day. When you're out there, you make the choice to put yourself on the line for someone else. There's no time to hesitate, to slow down. Midoriya waits, eager, gripping the straps of his backpack. His favorite hero, his idol. All Might is on his side. All Might wants to give his quirk to whoever took out Bluer. This is his chance. Hero School. A future as a pro. You want to know if you can be a hero without a quirk? All Might asks, the wind blowing the loose strands of his hair. You can't. Something cracks. He's fairly certain it's in his chest, swarming around his stomach. I can't see a reality where someone with no quirk could do even half of what the rest of us can, he says. And it's not cruel, not mean. It's honest, and that's somehow worse. The rest of us. The people that Midoriya will never mix with, will never have a place with. He's on the outside of everything he's ever wanted to be part of. The rest of us. But what about him? What about his future, his dreams? What about him? I'm sorry, All Might says, there's plenty of jobs out there, you'd be wasting your other talents trying to become a pro. I'm sure you'll find one that fits. This was supposed to be the one that fit. This was supposed to be his moment, his chance. He was born to be a hero, he knows it. Why does nobody else? But your quirk, you need, how does he word this without showing his hand? You could train me. I could be your successor, you could pass down your K-knowledge. All Might lets out a deep sigh. He heads towards the roof door, twists the handle. Quirkless can't be heroes, nothing will ever change that. He won't give him the quirk. He won't give him the quirk. But he has to. He has to. Midoriya has already planned the whole thing out. He's began to train, to mentally prepare. He can do this. He wants to do this. He wants to be someone. He can make a difference. What happened to Rin, to the woman in the alley, he can stop it from happening to anyone else. Why you need someone who can take out all for one. Midoriya shouts after him. I can do that, I want to do that. Enough. All Might whirls, his face drawn. You don't know what the hell you're even saying. I'm not sure who told you that name, but don't ever repeat it. Go home, kid, All Might says, exhausted. Pick a new career, excel in it, go home to your mom and dad at the end of the day. He's not dead, Midoriya says quickly, hands clenched into fists. All for one, there are whispers around my town. He's alive. All Might presses his lips into a thin line. Thanks for the tip. Then he shuts the door. He's gone just like that. And thank you, Midoriya says, digging his hands into his pockets, for your generous donation. He tugs free the wallet he plucked from All Might's pocket when they soared through the air. In his defense, had he not taken the wallet, then the bottle would have just slipped out again. If you think about it, Midoriya saved a life by stealing this. The wallet is plain-looking brown leather and foldable. When he combed through interviews and news reports that All Might appeared in without his bulked form, he was able to deduce quite a bit. For example, All Might always pats his left pocket when he leaves a store, his right back when he leaves a building, and stalks off into a crowd where he can effectively disappear. What most people don't know is that you can often tell what pocket a person uses by just watching them walk down the street. Midoriya takes out the cell phone he snatched as well, straight from All Might's right back pocket. Pros rarely keep such personal belongings on them when in uniform. But today, All Might was in tight civilian clothes. He hadn't planned on a villain run-in. Too bad, Midoriya plans for everything. Inside the wallet is a gold mine. He has several credit cards, debit cards, a couple of bucks, and the most interesting of all, a government-issued ID. Tashinori Yagi, Midoriya reads. 54 years old, 6 feet tall, blue eyes, blonde hair, male, and oh. His address, printed clear as day. The phone is next. You'd think the world's #1 hero would have a passcode. When you feel so secure and sure of yourself, you never expect something so simple to determine your fate. Midoriya makes quick work of turning off his location, disconnecting Bluetooth, and popping out the SIM card. He can buy a new one for cheap and rewire the phone to be a blank one. He's never had a phone before, but it's the least All Might could do for him, right? Not yet. Midoriya takes the same door down that All Might did. He keeps his head low as he moves through throngs of people. He feels nothing at all when he pops into the first grocery he sees, grabs a cart, and fills it to the brim with things he and Mama need. Toothpaste, paper towels, toilet paper, new cutlery, new utensils, towels, clothes, shoes for his mama, shampoo, conditioner, blankets, food. He pulls 2 carts full of items around the store and checks out without a single problem. When he pushes his front door in, he still feels this empty pit inside him. He fills it with tasks. Restocking the house, putting groceries away, then heading back out to hit the next store. He buys a new PC, buys a new headset, buys a new notebook, buys a new TV, buys everything. He doesn't stop until he's crossed off every single thing that other people take for granted. And then he buys All Might cards by the box. Racks him higher and higher and higher. The watch and jewelry store is next, and he earns. Bizarre looks from the jeweler as he buys dozens of Rolexes and diamond necklaces. Engagement rings, earrings, bracelets. He fills his school bag to the brim, so many products that he feels like he'll topple over. Only when that's done, does he go to his final stop. Hello, welcome in. The front desk lady greets him with a friendly smile. How are you today? Good, Midoriya says. I was hoping to buy some bouquets. 2 of them. Any specific colors? Make one pink and the other. Make it green as you can. Right away. He finds himself ending his day at Rin's house. The front door is still shut. The windows are still boarded up. Her body still lays inside. Forgotten. Alone. The flower that lay on the steps has withered to nothing. On top of its brown root, he lays the large green bouquet. It's not anything special by any means, but he thinks, if she can see him from whatever afterlife there is, she'd be happy to know he stayed green one way or another. He stays there for a while, staring at the front door of the house. He's not sure he'll ever get the courage to go inside. There lies a woman in there who deserves more than she ever got. He hardly knew her, and it was a choice of his own volition, but it's one he deeply regrets. It's better to be known and loved than to die with no one and nothing. So he honors her by the little he understands about her. With beautiful flowers and a golden memory of a pretty woman who deserved better cards than the ones she was dealt. He doesn't think of the hoarder with greasy hair and saggy skin. He thinks of her in her prime, remembers her in a way nobody else does. Then he goes home. He doesn't realize until late at night, when he tosses and turns, that Kakin had lied. Mama wasn't at home at all. My favorite businessman. Chikara cheers when Midoriya opens his door. I thought you were cheating on me with those scumbags down the road. Never, Midoriya promises. He takes a look around Chikara's small shop. The jewelry cases within are stacked full of random goodies, none of which is anything Midoriya brings in. His items tend to go fast and illegally, not that he's complaining. He needs money, and this is a good way to get it. How much are you willing to take in one go? Midoriya asks. Chikara rubs the back of his neck. Sheet, anything, I've got to get out of here. His fingers are frozen on his backpack zipper. You're skipping town? Yeah. He rests his forearms on the case. Pros are circling in like FANG vultures. You seen the news? They got Isamu a week and a half ago, slippery motherfucker. I can't believe All Might captured him. The sludge villain. Chikara mentioned that the guy often did his runs around town to sell stolen products. It lines up with All Might's run-in with him. The sludge villain had been robbing a store and shaking down civilians. Midoriya would feel bad that the guy got caught because of him, but the memory of how his body felt as it shut down steals away his empathy. Yeah, patrols seem to have tripled since that pro got attacked months ago, Midoriya tests. Chikara takes it. People are saying the fucker was a woman beater or something. I don't blame them. If it were my wife, you'd bet he wouldn't ever make it to the DMN hospital. He shakes his head, ruffles Midoriya's hair. I don't like heroes much, kiddo, but I think you'll make a good one. You've got the inside scoop that the rest of those goody-goodies don't have. Midoriya offers a shy smile. And a haul that can get you from this town to the States if you want it. Big talk from a small guy, Chikara laughs. All right, let's see it. With all his strength, he lifts up his yellow school bag. He has filled it to the brim with jewelry, and it weighs enough to nearly topple him over. The bag thuds on the counter, and a few rings and necklaces spill loose. Chikara makes quick work of tugging the zipper all the way down and peering inside. Holy F-. His large hands shift through the glittering insides, testing for authenticity. He even takes a couple of silver and gold rings out, checks the inside for the small numbers that are always engraved on pure pieces. Did you rob a FING jewelry store, kid? Midoriya smiles wide. I had a slide of luck. Jesus effing Christ, did you find the end of a goddamn rainbow? He tugs a watch loose, disbelief on his face. You know this haul could be over 100 grand, right? I hope so, the bag was pretty heavy. Chikara bellows out a laugh, combs a hand through his hair. Let me call my laundering guy, see if he's willing to split the profits if he hooks me up with a good deal. I can get you your cash in a couple of hours, but you'll have to come back tonight to collect. Then I'll see you in a couple of hours. Hey! Chikara leans forward, holding up a golden necklace. Thanks for this, kiddo. My lady's PR'd&T, she's been wanting to get out of this sheet town and give the kid a good shot. You just secured that. He extends his other hand for a shake, and Midoriya takes it. Paper pushes against his palm, and when he pulls his hand back, he sees a folded slip of paper. You ever need something, you got my number. And if you and your mom find yourselves needing a place to go, there's a couple of guys down east who take people in regardless of quirks. He gestures to the folded paper. Same guys against All Might. Midoriya can't help the wide grin that takes over his face. He only unfolds the paper when he gets home. The back of it has Chikara's phone number scribbled across it. But when Midoriya flips it, he's greeted by a color photo of graffiti. It's red, bubbled, and reads, All heroes are villains. A new population is forming. The outcasts, the left behind, the beaten and the neglected. The world has gone too long without any repercussions for its oppressive actions. Join us, and become a united front against the Hero Commission. All entry includes housing and food. We don't starve you of your potential. Below it is a symbol. It looks like purple smoke, with two white, glowing eyes peering at the reader from the paper. He folds the paper up again, tucks it away in the little box beneath his bed so Mama won't find it. Then he plops into his computer chair, and he thinks and thinks and thinks. His mind has been a whirlwind lately. The pillars of his fundamental beliefs have begun to crumble. He's learned so much about the world, about himself, and he's unsure how to handle it. The entrance exam is looming closer and closer. With it, his sanity splits. He's still gone to his nightly patrols, still comes up empty, and it's a comfort unlike any other. The night air, the adrenaline. It doesn't seem to wash away the next morning anymore. Maybe it's because he's not cut out for this, or maybe he needs a crime to bust. He spins his chair around, opens maps. A few towns over, he locates spots and places that look shady. A few bars, clubs, hubs of activity. He puts keywords into his system next, his very own coded AI responding. Without destroying the environment, it summarizes any and all information on a specific set of addresses or locations that it can pull from anywhere off the internet. Within seconds, he's got a screen of information written in green text. Drag rings, missing persons, domestic abuse. The list tallies on mentions of illegal activity hinting at something more than he can find surface level. He pulls an IP address from one of the bars, taps into their camera system. The footage is live, his headphones blaring with music from inside. It looks like a regular bar, or what he assumes is a regular bar. How would he know? He's 14. Anyway, he takes notes on what he sees inside. Resin countertops, leather bar stools. Pricey items for a bar located in a low-income area. Alcohol lines the back wall, the bulk of them mirrored on the glass panel it rests on. There are booths on the opposite side, greasy bar food served from a kitchen that has cameras he easily works through. Karaoke machines that drunk people often vomit on, coat rack at the door, it seems normal. He goes to the next IP he pulled, jumping into the cameras of a club. A lot more skin is on display than he'd prefer to see, but he works around it. A mechanical bull has a line of people who are far from sober, eager to ride it. More alcohol, more booths, more tables that carry greasy food. Nothing out of the ordinary. The next location. He taps into the cameras, gazes over throngs of people, and his eyes land on a back door with no cameras that leads to its location. Weird. He moves to an outside street view and is greeted with surveillance that spans over the front of the building. A map view makes it clear the building is boxy, a square shape. Weird, he mumbles, clicking back to his regular camera. The inside of the bar is rectangular, the outside is a square. He's quick to find the blueprints of the building that were sent in an email from a contractor to the owner. He takes the dimensions, fills in the angles and gaps with the numbers listed below. But the equation doesn't line up. If the dimensions are right, then the bar has been nearly cut in half. Not to mention, Japan's fire laws require multiple exits and windows, none of which this bar has. One entrance, and one other door that leads to what he assumes is the other half of the building. When the room was split, the windows and extra door must have been cut off from the main bar. It leaves half the building unregistered and hidden from the population within. A drunk girl, someone barely older than he is, stumbles across the room alone. She makes it a few steps before collapsing onto a bouncer. Instead of being shoved off or calling an ambulance, the large man hoists her up and carries her through the crowd of people. He opens the back door, goes inside, and returns a few minutes later without the girl. SEC trafficking. Midoriya was looking to capture a low-level villain and instead came across a sec trafficking scheme. What does he do? Does he call the cops? They can't even search the building without probable cause, and the ramblings of a teenager aren't nearly enough. It's not like he truly knows that the bar is really doing this. If he could get evidence, then it would be impossible for the police to deny, and it would make him feel a lot better about the whole thing too. So how does he get into a bar? With a fake ID. It's easy to type in his town name into his code, mixed with a mention of a fake ID. It spits out the name of a kid from his school, the information pulled from a deleted Reddit thread. Midoriya grabs his jacket and wallet on his way out the door. He has no idea what he's going to say to this kid. Should he start with, "Hey, I pulled your address from the internet and would like to buy an ID to bust a sec trafficking ring. How much do you charge?" Or maybe, "Do you happen to make fake IDs that can get me into a bar so I can search for drunk girls around my age?" He sounds like a total creep. He's more nervous than he was when Mama came home from work a week and a half ago to a house full of shit they'd never had before. Her first reaction was to close the front door quietly and see if she had accidentally entered the neighbor's apartment. When she saw it was their home, she then started to cry and asked him if he had gotten into shady business or a debt he couldn't pay. The lie he had spat up was awful and so unbelievable that it's a miracle Mama didn't catch on. She must have wanted Auntie to like her so badly that when Midoriya said Kaken's mom had paid for it all, she bought it immediately. She had sent Midoriya to school with long notes and letters claiming she'd pay Auntie back and that she was so grateful for this generous offer. Remarkably, every time Mama tried to call Auntie personally, the phone wouldn't connect. Bizarre. Anyway, Mama fell for it. He had lied and told her that Auntie felt awful for kicking them out and wanted to settle the score and move on with mental peace. Mama's been relishing the fixed bond for days. She cooks as often as she can with a fridge full of fresh food and new pots and pans. She sleeps peacefully at night with a new state-of-the-art security system. She keeps the windows open so the breeze can sway the patterned curtains she's always wanted. Midoriya sat with her for hours and taught her how to use a cell phone, as she hadn't had one since she got with his dad. It reminded him of his mission, his goal, and suddenly his sinking heart from All Might and Kakin had begun to float, just a little. He's learned things about himself. He's going to be a hero, and if he has to do it alone, then so be it. He doesn't need All Might, he never has. He doesn't need Kakin, he never will. He just needs himself. And that's good, because it's all he's got. Midoriya knocks on Ito Haruto's front door with so much nerves that he might puke. It takes a minute for someone to answer, but when a teenage boy pokes his head out and sees Midoriya, a wicked sneer takes over his face. What higher power did I piss us off to be punished with your face outside of school hours? Ito asks. Midoriya shuffles his feet. I need a fake ID. Ito gives him a bland look. That's illegal, I'm going to call the cops. I've got $300. 400. 350. Ito narrows his dark eyes before tugging the door open. He jerks his chin towards the inside of the house, and Midoriya steps inside cautiously. The inside is a traditional Japanese home. It's much smaller than Midoriya expected, but still nice. Clutter-free, smelling good, nobody would expect a fake ID hub to be operating here. Midoriya takes his shoes off. When Ito tells them he has to carry them instead of leaving them by the door so his filth doesn't stain the home, he doesn't complain. He just wants to get the ID and leave, even if it means mud stains his clothes from the shoes. He sits on the tatami of Ito's floor, gazing around his room. Movie posters and band names spatter his walls, little knickknacks and figurines adorning his shelves. Midoriya has never been in a teenage boy's room other than his own. He feels awkward, uncomfortable. I'm tempted to ask why you need this sheet, Deku, Ito says before tugging down a green screen and having Midoriya stand in front of it. But I really couldn't give a f dash dot. He's not sure what the proper response is, so he says nothing. Ito sets up a lamp, faces it at a certain angle to Midoriya's face, and snaps a photo with a camera he's situated on a tripod. He then tugs a laptop from his school bag and sits crisscross on his bed. Midoriya watches, silent, when he plugs the camera into the laptop with a cable and clicks around on the screen. It's tense, awkward. Have you heard All Might is in town? Midoriya squeaks, his best attempt at a conversation. Ito glances at him for a moment before looking away. Wonderful. You don't like All Might? He asks. Ito shakes his head, bleached blonde hair flying. No, I'm not FING fanatic. Is that a problem for you boy? No, Midoriya says softly. I don't like him either, I don't think. Since when? Ito says, finally holding eye contact for longer than a second. You dressed up as All Might for every single Halloween. You talk about him non-stop. Aren't you trying to get into UA to become a hero or whatever? Midoriya shrugs. I think he's a fraud. Ito stops clicking around, stares at Midoriya for a second. Huh. What? I figured you were different, I guess. Hey, doesn't Bakugo love All Might? Aren't the two of you friends? Midoriya fills in. Ito snickers. Sure, let's go with that. Friends. Again he shrugs. We used to be. A long time ago. But to be honest, he's going to get his butt kicked for this, he knows it, but he's been dying to talk to someone about his feelings for weeks now. I think Kakin is a fraud too. Ito puts a fist to his mouth. Oh, Deku has some bite after all. Did you two break up? Midoriya furrows his brows. Like, did our friendship end? Sure, let's go with that, Ito says again. I don't know if we ever were friends, Midoriya thinks out loud. Guys like Kakin don't have friends, they have fans. They have followers and fanatics, and it boosts their egos so much that they think nobody else is worth it. He's not sure if he's talking about Kakin or All Might, maybe both. If that's the path he wants to take to become a hero, then so be it. But when I become a pro, I'm not going to waste my time with fame and adoration. Midoriya picks a scab on his nail, feeling lighter than he has in weeks. I'm going to get shit done. Things that really need to change, not superficial shit. Fighting for quirk rights, or rebuilding broken neighborhoods, or creating spaces where any quirk can be used, no matter the connotation behind it. I want the world to be safe because people deserve to feel safe. It's a human right. Kaken wants the world to be safe because he makes it safe. Ito watches him for a long moment before looking back at his computer. You know, my sister was killed by a pro. Midoriya nibbles his lip. What happened? The pro was reckless. So hellbent on capturing some villain that he paid no attention to the destruction he caused around him. Insurance went up on cars and homes because he smashed so many in his chase. Rent increased because homes had to be rebuilt. Taxes shot up because the city needed to fix our streets. And people cheered this pro on when he caught this villain as though he saved the world from some guy shoplifting baby formula for his girlfriend. Ito looks away, taps numbly on the keyboard. My sister was in the store where the guy was robbing. He didn't even have a weapon, was just shoving product into a bag and trying to get home. The pro barged in and tried to pin him between aisles, and knocked a few shelves over. She got crushed beneath. God, Midoriya mumbles. That's awful. I'm sorry. If you were a pro, what would you have done? Ito asks. Midoriya runs a hand through his curls. Honestly, I'd let him go. Or maybe offer to buy the formula for him so he doesn't run out. Pros make enough money anyway, I don't see why they should just sit on it. There's more important things to focus on than a guy trying to feed his baby, Midoriya says, picking that same scab nervously. I asked Bakugo, and he said that everybody has to pay for things. He said the guy wasn't any different from the rest of the world, that he didn't get away with stealing sheet when everyone else has to pay. Well, Midoriya says, that's because Kaken sees the world as an equal playing field. Technically he's right, but he's only right because he'll never be the person who can't afford to provide for his family. Legally, Kaken is correct. But morally he's privileged. His opinions are formed on the basis of a lack of empathy, of understanding. People like Kaken will never understand a situation like that, not until he's lived it. And people like you? Ito asks, head tilted. You understand it? Oh, Midoriya says with a small smile. You've got no idea. Ito nods, and a whirling sound fills the air as he prints something. Midoriya stays seated while he moves around the room, grabbing glue and vinyl and a bunch of other products that he takes a mental catalog of. An hour later and a few more stilted conversations, and Midoriya has his fake ID. He pulls out the cash, but Ito shakes his head. I only charge $150. Midoriya furrows his brows. But I thought. It's fine. Ito takes only a few bills, leaving the rest for Midoriya to put away. I was going to swindle you, but I don't know. Change my mind. Oh, Midoriya says. Thanks. Yeah. On his way out the door, Ito calls out to him again. Midoriya. He tenses, turns. Yeah. If you don't make it to hero school, Ito says, fiddling with the door handle. Consider Adachi for high school, it's where I'm going. He shuts the door, and Midoriya descends into silence. Weird. But okay. Chikara has a couple of briefcases full of wads of cash when Midoriya shows up later that night. They say goodbye. Chikara urges him to reach out if he needs anything at all, and that's that. He slips them under his bed when he gets home and waits. When Mama is asleep, Midoriya pulls on his hood and shoe mods. His backpack is much lighter than before, and his face mask is a welcomed weight. Then he takes off into the night,